Pants and pats and coops. Okay, is it working? Come on now. Okay, hold on. It says we're live. I don't know if it said, did it click the go live button this time? I think it did. Did it? Okay, wait, let's see. Okay, there we go. It says we're live. I think we're live. I don't know how long we've been live. The dashboard said we just went live, I don't know, 13 seconds ago?
There we go.
So
I see us.
All right, can everybody see us and hear us? Hello out there in the internet lands. Welcome to TechTalk.
Hello.
With Barnacules Nerdgasm. We just woke up and had our breakfast, so we probably won't be as cranky as usual. Hey, what's up, Michael Morrison? How's it going, bro? Oh my gosh. Is that a lab coat? Is that a lab coat? What is it?
It's a bunny suit for painting.
Oh, gotcha, dude. You should make that like your new trademark. You know, like the Intel guys?
House.
Oh, okay. So just a heads up, guys, and fair warning, the stream is probably going to end around noon today because our bearded brother from another brother here has some shit he's got to go do in the family sphere. So we're going to go ahead and abide. But if things are going crazy or whatever, I don't know. I might stream for a little while longer after that. I don't know. It depends on how I'm feeling. I've been sick for 12 days now with some lung infection thing, and the doctor keeps saying, well, if it gets worse, come in. If it gets worse, and then it gets worse, and then it gets better, and then it gets worse, and then it gets better, and it just keeps hovering. It's like the most lingering thing ever. Although this morning I actually feel way better. Like today, I feel by far the best I felt in 11 days. So I think I'm on the mend finally.
That's good.
Because
this time,
right. Jeez, David's like, he's got the COVID. It's entirely possible I do, because I've gotten bronchitis and pneumonia and stuff, and I usually hack up like brown and green stuff. Haven't had any of that happen with this.
Butter, yeah.
No lung butter this time. It's all been clear. But I have the shortness of breath. I have the dry cough constantly all day long. This is probably the longest I've gone without coughing. Like, I don't think I've coughed since I was downstairs and got out of the shower. So I'm like, yes. So maybe it's finally given up its fight on me. I did have a fever for a little while too, so that sucked. But they want me to get tested, but they stopped the home kits. The mail out kits they were doing. The CDC shut it down because they said there was too many false negatives because people weren't like jamming the thing back far enough in their brain. So I can't do the home test. So if I have to do testing, I have to go in, and I really don't want to go in unless I got COVID. Because that's the thing is, if I don't have COVID and I go in, they're like, oh, dude, you got bronchitis, and then I get COVID from going to the hospital to get the x-ray, then I die. And it's like, okay, well, that wasn't very advantageous. If I just have bronchitis, it's like, just give me some antibiotics and some prednisone, and I'll take it. And if it doesn't get better, then we can pretty much assume it's either COVID or I'm patient zero for like another pandemic.
Yeah.
Wait, you're sick. Well, I know I am sick.
Right.
What's the hospital going to do? Well, no, the hospital can actually do a little bit. Like if you got COVID, there's not really much they can do about it other than stick you on a ventilator if you need it, which I clearly don't need a ventilator. However, my CPAP's been acting as kind of like a poor people ventilator. Every night when I go to sleep and I'm like having a really hard time breathing, I throw on that CPAP and I just breathe like a dream, sleep through the night, wake up in the morning, and it feels like it blows out all the cobwebs. So
cool.
I'm like, okay, well, CPAPs are pretty cool. Everybody should have one sitting around for when they get like some kind of lung thing. Hey, what's up, Solid? He said hello from Bremerton. That's my stomping ground. That's where I grew up, if you guys were wondering.
Move to Bremerton.
Yep, old Bummer Town.
Move to Bremerton, we'll hang out.
Hey, fun fact.
MXPX?
Yep, I grew up in a little town called Gorst. How many people here know where Gorst is? So Gorst is right at the head of the bay where Port Orchard and Bremerton meet together. And in my front yard, I lived so high up in the hills there that I could actually see the Puget Sound Naval Shipyard from my front yard growing up. So I could just go out of my front yard and see all the aircraft carriers and submarines and stuff all docked across the bay. It was really cool. Hey, Brian PC, thank you for that 10-pounder-roos, dude. He said, donate to the cough and remember and thumbs up, guys.
Aww.
Speaking of cough, I don't know if it's because you just said it.
One prayer.
Yeah, right. You want me to send you my bathtub water? My holy bathtub water? The Peter Pop. I still haven't gotten my Peter Popoff water, and I had like 30 people call the number and all give my information. I told him to call and give my P.O. box. He will not send it to a P.O. box for some reason. So, stupid Peter Popoff. If any of you guys have Peter Popoff's like holy water, please send it to me. I want to do a video where I dump it in the back of my toilet tank and then take a big old dump and flush it. Because I want to have like the holy dump and be like Peter Popoff's water. Like do the blessing and like pour it in the back of the tank and then take a dump and flush it. If you don't know who Peter Popoff is, look him up. He deserves all the shit I'm giving him right now. That guy is pure Satan. Oh my gosh! Oh, we got Bad Knife in the house. Check this out.
Who is this?
Gonzalo, he said, "How's your son?" Oh, my son's doing great. My son and wife are doing just fine. As a matter of fact, my wife was really sick last month, and she had a fever and the same symptoms I do, kind of wheezing a little bit and coughing for like 2-3 weeks. And so she thought it was just allergies, but I'm pretty sure she had whatever I have now. So, hey, Steve, thank you. He said, loves the streams.
Aw.
Have you guys already talked about the title of the stream? No, we haven't gotten into any topics. We usually wait like the first like 10 or 15 minutes to let everybody get in here. Because otherwise everybody just comes in and they're like, well, did you already talk about the thing and the pudding? Okay, anyways, let's go. Let me go get the link to my own show here so that I can share it out. Did you guys like the thumbnail for the show?
That was great. I love that.
I just literally grabbed that out of the... It was in my picture folder from... I think it was one of the attempts that I did for a thumbnail for our podcast version of this, which I haven't been keeping up on. I need to get after that. But yeah, I ended up not using it. But I was like, I think today I'll throw it in there and we'll see what happens. All right, Tech Talk is live. I forgot to tweet it out too, so I should probably do that. All right, here we go. We got a Tech Talk is live. Let's see, is it resolving? Yes, it's resolving. Fantastic. And it's using the proper thumbnail. I feel like I did something right today. Oh my God. Good times. All right, why is this not okay? Yes, I'm feeling happy. Man, Facebook asks too many questions. You ever notice that? Anytime you post something on Facebook, like you post something on Twitter, you just type it and you post it and it's done. On Facebook, it's like, do you want to add it to your story? Do you want to add some emoticons? What is your mood? How are you feeling? Are you menstruating right now? It's like it asks you all these questions. And it's like, my God. Excuse me. All right, let's see here. Post. Oh, I got to unpin that tweet for GTA 5. That is no longer free. Here, unpin.
That's right.
Yeah,
it's
people are gonna go there and be like,
6 now.
Yeah, it's Civ 6 is free, and then GTA they left it half price, so you can still get GTA 5 for like $14, I think, which isn't bad. I mean, I can't imagine like who hasn't played GTA. Is there anybody in chat right now that has not played GTA 5 campaign mode? Because I think it's literally the most played game on the planet. I think it even like surpassed Mario Brothers.
Huh. I'm replaying the campaign now since I picked it up for free. I played it way back on Xbox 360, I think it was.
Yeah, dude, I've played it through. I've played campaign through 7 times now. Like, and did all the different permutations. Well, not all of them. There's quite a few permutations, but I've done all the missions, all the alt missions where you have like multiple choice. You know, I've gone the different directions in each of the missions. I've picked the different guys for all of the, all of the engagements, like the good guys and the bad guys, and it's awesome.
Yeah, I highly recommend it.
So yeah, if you haven't played,
or keyboard and mouse.
Oh, I'm keyboard and mouse all the way. But actually, no, I take that back. It depends. If I'm playing on the computer, I'm keyboard and mouse, obviously. But if I'm playing like even on the HTPC or the Xbox laying in bed, I'll use the controller because they did get the controller stuff worked out in it. When it first came out, I hated the controller support in it. But now with like the little bit of like auto aim and it's a little bit
yeah,
I don't know. It works good now. Like when you play it, you feel like you're still playing the game, but there's enough assistance that you're not getting like super frustrated and just hating the game, you know?
Yeah.
Like Red Dead Redemption, I can't play. Ooh. I cannot play Red Dead Redemption. The controller stuff in that is so terrible, man. It's so terrible. Hey, Pup Shepherd, thank you so much for that $5 tip. He said, I set up on my domain controller at my house. Now I see so easy I could set them up all day. How are you? I started GTA 5 SP, but I mostly do MP. Oh, single player versus multiplayer. Wow, you set up a domain controller at your house? I don't really see people do that anymore. That's how many computers do you have, sir? I like how Miss Liz is like, yeah, Steve, you are banned, because we can like see his message.
That too.
People come in here all the time and ask if they're banned. Like, I don't know why that's even a thing. It's like if you're banned, doesn't it just tell you? Like if you're banned, it should say that you can't post the message. That's how you know if you're banned or not. You know, you're not. Here's the best way to know that you're not banned. Just don't be an asshole, and you won't be banned. It's that simple. Right. That's it. It's really, really easy. Hey, what's up, Berg? Never played any GTA? Oh, what? I don't believe him.
Dude, I remember playing the very first one, all top down and super weird.
Yeah, dude. When that came out, it was like revolutionary, though. Like I remember, I was hooked on that shit.
And then GTA 3, I think, was the first 3D one in Liberty City.
Yep, that's right. The first two were top down.
Yeah, and then I remember playing Vice City and 4.
San Andreas.
Oh, definitely San Andreas. Oh, yeah. Who didn't play San Andreas?
Yeah, San Andreas was probably my favorite.
Done. Yeah.
GTA 5 though, the characters were like so perfect though. That's the thing I liked about GTA 5. It's like if they did another one and they kept those same characters, it would that's what sold it in my opinion. It wasn't necessarily the game mechanics, it wasn't that. It was like the storyline and what you could do in the missions and stuff were just really really good. Like it was a great story. Absolutely loved it. Hey, Night Out, thank you for the membership. Chad, hey, thank you for the $5 super chat, man. He said, "Don't be an a-hole, no ban. Love you guys. Hugs." Oh, we'll take your hugs all day long.
Pretty much, yeah.
I'll take your hugs. Wait, YouTube app sucks. It likes to spam messages too. Yeah, mods, go easy on the spamming today. Just if it's like 2 or 3, because there is a bug in the app on the iPhone where if you type a message and send it, sometimes it'll send it like 3 or 4 times. But if it's obvious that they're doing it, then yeah, still ban them. Let's see here. Alma said, "You're an evil genius" for that Epic Games GTA V video. Yeah, did you ever see that? I showed everybody how to get as many GTA 5 copies as they wanted, as many accounts as they wanted using one email address.
Yeah, you told me about that.
Yeah, so Google has... It's considered a feature, and it's been around forever, and Google doesn't fix it, because I think there's some backwards compatibility with something that they do it for. But basically, you can put a period anywhere you want in your email address, or multiple periods in your email address, and it'll still go to the same email address with no periods.
Yeah.
So, like in my case, if I had like Barnacules.Nerdgasm, it would go to barnaculesnerdgasm@gmail.com.
Yeah, my personal email occasionally gets emails that are very clearly for someone else because it's going to an email that has a period in it.
Yep.
And so like every once in a while I'll get an invite to the like Fire Ants Jamboree, and it's like some like little kid soccer thing or something. I'm like, that's not me, you know. I just delete them. I don't.
You should reply back to it, just a picture of you with your beard all screwed up in the morning, right out of bed, like, "I'll be there tomorrow. I got the address now." Just freak them out.
That's funny.
Napalm said it works with the plus symbol too. It does, although here's the weird thing. So Epic Games, they block the plus. So if you try to use the plus method, they reject the email address. If you try to use the, I think, dash method, I think they reject the email address. But if you use the period, it still accepts it. So I created 5 GTA 5 accounts. So I have 5 alt accounts on both the Rockstar the Social, and I got 5 alt accounts on Epic Games Launcher. And I was able to do it all with a single email address, which I haven't checked since I made the video, because I have a feeling since I put the email address in the video, there's probably 1,000 emails there now. "Hey, Barnacules, I got your email." It's not my email. It's an email that I just created just for the video and to create those accounts. Like, it'll never be used again. Oh, what'd you say? You need to show anything too powerful? It's a 7+-year-old game?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's old.
Sarah was saying, like, "Oh, I don't even have a gaming PC." I'm like, it's Xbox 360 old. Like, you could play that on old-ass stuff.
Yeah, I think it does. I think he uses... They upgraded it to use DirectX 11 or DirectX 10 or something. It doesn't even use, like, latest DirectX.
Yeah, no. I mean, you can, like, get texture mods and stuff, but... Oh, poor Jay Rawson says he hates seeing people eat on stream, and now he's leaving.
Oh, well, you know what? I'm glad he's leaving, because I fucking hate people that whine and bitch about
really?
shit. Like,
come on, man,
dude, get out of here. Seriously. No, I went on my rant.
45 minutes, you butthead.
No, I went on. Yesterday we were plinking people off of my Twitch live stream because they're like, "Oh my god, you talked about politics. Oh my god, you talked about this. I'm leaving." It's like, fuck you, just get out of here. Like, nobody asked you if you wanted to stay or leave. You're the one here. I don't even know who you are. Like, just leave. If you don't like what we're talking about, just leave. We're not holding you hostage. We're not gonna like. We're not gonna give you, like, you know, certain favors for you to just stay in here and watch the show. No, you watch the show because you like it, or you don't watch the show because you don't like it. It's that simple. It's like, do people do that when they watch TV? Or are they like watching like the news on channel 13 or something? They're like, "Fucking give me my phone. Hey, is this the new team? Hey, you better tell that motherfucker to change his tie right now, or I'm changing the channel." Like, you don't do that. It's like, God, listen how silly you are. But it is fun to see him and plink him out of here.
on the one hand, it's like, look, hey, I appreciate some feedback. That isn't the way to give feedback.
No,
by the way,
no.
But okay, I hear you, and I'm not going to change. But okay, if enough people were like, hey, this is gross or whatever. Actually, probably not even that, because you get troll campaigns and stuff. But honestly, like this is a thing that comes up every once in a while on Twitch and in the like live content sphere often enough, is like, don't be entitled. Okay, yes, you're the audience. Yes, we would be able to do this. We'd just be a couple of dudes talking at each other if not for the audience. Yes, that's true. However, that doesn't make us your slaves. That doesn't mean you get to dictate how the content goes. It doesn't mean you have a 1% stake in the overall like stock of the stream, of whatever stream you're watching. Like, it doesn't matter if you're the highest donator or like you've subbed for 1,000,000 years, whatever. It does come down to the content is the channel is the dictatorship of the person creating the content. They get to decide. And some people take that. You know, I've seen some streamers who are super hardcore, like strict about that. You don't tell me how to run my stream at all.
That's
out.
me. That's me on my stream.
And, hey, and more power to you. Like, this is my space. I'm doing this for me mostly. Like, I want to play. I'd be playing games with or without you nerds, and like that's kind of it. I don't know.
You guys are gonna see my ass. I have to turn off the ball cooler. It's like icy cold today.
I sound super muffled. Is that better? Hello?
No, you sounded just fine, dude. It sounded just fine, and I'm monitoring your audio here, so. Nope, what it comes down to is we're just going to do whatever we want to do, and the people that like it will show up, and the people that don't like it leave. And the one thing I learned, I learned a valuable lesson, Mr. AuxxZillary. I learned a very valuable lesson, and that is, the less I conformed to the minority telling me what to do, the more viewers I ended up getting every single time. Even on Twitch, like when I do my Twitch stream and people are like, I'm leaving if you don't stop talking about this right now. I'm like, fuck you, get out of here. Like, who the fuck are you? And then like 100 other people show up. Yeah, it's always like that. So because everybody thinks they represent everyone. Like when they think, like, they always say we, they never say I. Right. And it's like, no. When you're saying we, it's like, just get the fuck out of here. Like, there's other stuff to watch. We don't need you to watch. I don't need you to follow. I don't need you to subscribe. I want you to do those things if you enjoy the content. If you don't enjoy the content, don't try to change it. Go find something else that you like to watch. Mm-hmm. It's that simple.
Yep.
Let's see what do we got here. Lord Zero. Hey, what's up, Lord Zero? How's it going, buddy? Let's see here. I see that there's a very fine line between constructive criticism and not being a good person.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Why would you want 5 different GTA 5 games? Oh, I think to gift them to other people.
Yeah, like every time I've ever gone to a LAN party, nobody can ever play because they're like, oh, I don't have that game. No, I don't have that game. So what it allows you to do is you can just give them an email address and a password that's just a throwaway, and then they can go and set up the game and install it and play with you. There's another good reason for it, too, and that is Rockstar has a bad habit of banning people that don't cheat. Like, I've been banned twice from Rockstar. One of them was a 6-month ban for cheating. And I've never done anything to my game. Like, I've never modded, I've never cheated, nothing. Like, I have no interest in it. And I got banned, and both times it was because another cheater had run by me and dropped a bunch of money in front of me to make me intentionally pick it up. And then, or the game crashed, and when I restarted it, they thought that I crashed out of the game intentionally to not complete a mission so that I didn't get dinged for it. And so I got banned both times, and I was like, fuck this. So now I have 5 accounts, so when they ban me and I can't play online, I can just go to one of the alt accounts and still get online if I want to play with friends.
There you go.
Yep, that's pretty much the reason. Hey, Naota, thank you for the $5 super chat. He said, love the show. Watching while I clean and prep for my first live stream I'll be doing later. Hey, well, have some fun with that, man. Live streaming is actually a lot of fun. Night Out, thank you for the $5 tip. He said, I am flashing my Pro Liant with server 2012 to join Folding at Home. It's Disturbed Psycho, by the way. Well, Night Out, it's good to see you. I don't know why you're not Disturbed Psycho everywhere. You ever notice that there's a lot of people that have different names on every platform?
Yeah.
That's weird. I don't know why. Is that weird to you too, or is that just like my pet peeve? Like, I don't get that. Like, why would you be like 50 different names on 50 different platforms?
I think it's because of a time thing. Right? Like, oh, I made this, like my old school Xbox screen name. I don't use that anymore, right? I left that years and years ago, but it wasn't the same depending on where I was playing, right? And it's because like, oh, well, I jumped on Xbox Live because um, after
that
I
makes
had
sense.
already started some of my PC stuff and this and that, and sometimes screen names are taken elsewhere and that sort of thing. I tried to, once I decided on AuxxZillary, though, I knew one, I spelled it oddly enough that it's probably not getting taken elsewhere, but I made a Gmail, I bought the domain, I'm on Twitch, I'm on everything I could think of. I tried to scoop up the screen name for it.
So you're like committed now.
Yeah, I'm knee deep. Like I goofed I bought Diablo 3 once years ago before I started streaming, and now that I'm streaming, I have an auxiliary BattleNet, but my good Diablo 3 account is on a different email address, and so that's kind of awkward. And I don't want to buy it again and have to go through all the campaign stuff. Like I have my wizard character and things that I don't want to lose, so I have to switch back and forth if I want to play.
That's a fair point. I'll give you that one for games. Like,
yeah.
And I guess, I mean, I had the same problem, I guess, back in the day, now that I think about it, because I was like Dead Nick and Dead Meat, and people kept stealing my name on every platform. Then I picked Barnacules, and that was like unique enough, and then I trademarked it so that if anybody else camps it, I can just plunk them off.
Right.
I had one guy get like really mad that I did that. I which platform was it? I think it was it wasn't Epic Games, it was one of the other launchers. I think it was Blizzard. Does Blizzard have its own launcher?
BattleNet. Yeah.
BattleNet. Yeah, so BattleNet, I tried to create an account, and it's like, oh, Barnacules is already in use. And I'm like, what? So I go in there and look, and there's literally a guy on BattleNet named Barnacules. He's fully fucking impersonating me, even using my picture from my avatar. He's friending my friends and stuff, and they literally think he's me and have for a while. So I got him plunked. I basically sent mail to him. And I said, hey, listen, I'm creating an account on your service or whatever. My name's taken. Here's my trademark. And I sent him a picture of my trademark for Barnacules. And they're like, okay, yeah, no, this is all in order. So they basically went and they didn't delete his account, but they forced him to change his name. And then he comes just like coming at me on Twitter like, that's my name. I was there first. I'm like, bitch, you were impersonating me. Give me one example of where Barnacules occurs anywhere else in the world. It is a completely nonsensical term of Barnacle and Hercules. Plus, you were even using my own graphics and impersonating me. Like, yeah, dude, seriously?
Is using your picture like in the avatar, like that's come on, you can't.
He's like, you're abusing your power by kicking me off the platform. It's like, no, dude, you were impersonating me. Like, seriously, you go walking around my neighborhood and talking to my neighbors dressed like me and talking like me with my name and using my driver's license. I'm gonna kick you in the balls for it. You know, it's like, come on, seriously. So I didn't feel bad at all from that, but I was just surprised that he had to go at me, because you'd think if anything you'd just be like, oh shit, I got caught. Okay, I'm gonna just lay low and go impersonate Linus or something instead. But no, instead he decided to have a go at me, and I was like, bitch. I had that happen one other time with Xbox Live too. So I had a Netflix account that was linked to my Xbox Live, and then there was an Xbox Live breach. This is years ago. This would have been like 4 or 5 years ago. There was an Xbox Live data breach. So somebody got my Xbox Live account and sold it on some dark website to some dude. And I never noticed, like, I could still log into it. I could still play my games. There was never anything on there that tipped me off that there was another person using my Live account. The reason being is they weren't using the Live account for anything other than as a proxy to log in and use Netflix on their Xbox. So they were using my Netflix. So one day I go into my Netflix and it says, oh, you can't watch because there's too many devices watching. And I'm like, I'm the only one home, bro. So I'm like, so I go into the Netflix dashboard, and if you go into the Netflix dashboard and you go into your account, it'll tell you which devices are currently connected and what they're watching. Right, and there was 3 devices connected from some IP address in another state, and they were all watching shows that I've never watched. And I instantly go, that's why there's been so many shows showing up in my continue watching that I've never seen. I'm like, I've never watched that before, and it's under continue watching. Like, I just assumed that like my wife was watching these shows. No, it's this dude was watching them. So anyways, I got his IP address. I went and looked it up, did a little sleuthing, and I found the dude. I found his Facebook account. I found his real name. I found everything, and I reached out to him, and I tweet him. And he's like, dude, I bought this account legitimately on some site. And I was like, dude, wait. You bought an Xbox Live account, dude? You buy that from Microsoft. You don't just go buy an Xbox Live account named Jerry. Like, you don't. Like, dude, what you're and he literally like fought me because I called him out for fraud. I was like, dude, you illegally either hacked or purchased a stolen account. You know goddamn well you were using the stolen account. You knew it from day one. And he's like, no, man, I legitimately bought it. Seriously, I didn't know. But I was like surprised. The dude was using it for like a year and I didn't notice. Like, it took a year. It took him like watching 3 shows on 3 devices using my account before I finally noticed. So if you're logging into your Netflix and you notice that there's a lot of stuff showing up in the continue watching department and you've never watched those shows, you've probably been hacked and you just don't know it. Your account's been sold on the dark web. Let's see here. Dante, thank you for the five poundaroos. He said, I think you should talk about something else. Lol, I'm joking. Oh, I saw that earlier. Night Out, thank you for the $5. He said, I make music as Night Out. That's why it's Night Out here. I use only these two names. I also own Disturbed Psycho YouTube account. Oh, okay. So you make music as Night Out. Oh, you make music, do you? Like, do you just make music on YouTube, or do you, like, go and, like, play, like, halls and stuff like that in bars? I like musicians. Musicians are cool. I'm actually jealous that I can't play like anything. I can play the piano like a tiny bit, but like not even enough that anybody would want to sit and listen.
Ding.
Mr. Booberry said Netflix sadly doesn't have 2FA, but they do send an email notification when a new login comes in, but nothing to prevent false logins. No, but here's the thing: is this was a loophole through Xbox. So if Xbox is linked to your Netflix, then when you log into an Xbox console, it'll just automatically pass the authentication token. It's almost like or at least they did years ago. And so the guy literally had my Xbox Live account, but the only thing he was using was Netflix. So not only, he didn't even buy a Netflix account, he bought an Xbox Live account that happened to have Netflix access, and then he was just using Netflix. So I was like, dude, why weren't you like playing all the games and downloading all the games and doing all this stuff? Because it would have instantly like made him apparent that he hacked my account. So he was intentionally dancing around and trying to do things that would go unnoticed. And I was like, oh, you shithead. So anyways, I called him out on it. Then I banned him. Then he created another account, came back and tried to harass me and threaten me. He actually threatened to sue me, which I thought was the hilarious thing. He's like, dude, I'm going to sue you for slander for publicly saying that I hacked the account. It's like, dude, you did. Or you bought it. I said you hacked it or you bought it. That is an absolute true statement. And he admitted to it. He's like, I did buy this account legitimately. Well, where'd you buy it from? Oh, a friend. You bought an Xbox Live account from a friend? Really? You can do that? Like, I think that's against TOS, bro.
Yeah.
Anyways, man, that's the shit that we deal with as content creators, man. I'll tell you what.
How can one trademark their name? What is the legal process? Does it involve a patent?
No patent is involved. To do a trademark, all you have to do is submit a trademark form to the U.S. Trademark Office. It costs and you have to do it at your state and federal level. So you have to do it in two places, state and federal. And I want to say it's only like $200 at the state level, and that's like $400 or something at the federal level. And then you have to pay for a trademark research, which basically, if they think that the name that you're using could be used as a proper name or as a proper word or something like that, then they have to investigate it, and they're going to stick you like another $100 to $400 for that. I think all in, I paid about $800, and this is years ago. I got the trademark, I think, about 8 years ago. But I think when it started, I paid about $200, and when I was all done, it was about $800. So it depends on how much research they have to do and everything. However, you can do it cheaper by not going through like I went through a broker that actually does the research and they do everything all in. But if you're willing to do the paperwork yourself and you're willing to go through and like submit it yourself and do all that stuff and deal with the different entities, you could probably get a trademark for like $200. Like nice. I just paid extra because I used a broker that basically I just paid them, told them what trademark I wanted, and then they went and did all the negotiating and went back and forth between state and government. And then your trademark is only applicable within the country you're in, unless you get trademarks in the other countries. Each country has its own trademark office.
Yeah, but
and some countries don't. So
really, though, you're probably covered if you get it just in here. Because like, who cares? Who cares if some Taiwanese company decides to like, it's like those fake McDonald's you see on, in pictures and stuff. It's
like in China, like McDougal's and Starbucks or something like that. Yeah, but they're the same logo and everything. Yeah, exactly.
Oh shit, man! I make EDM and dubstep. I will drop the first official mix soon, but I have a few mixes that are private. Dude, share all the things.
Yeah, I'm a dubstep. I love dubstep, dude. Like, drop that shit on me. I'll listen.
I'm telling you, okay. So this is coming from an angle of like, if you're trying to make it right, and this is not coming from experience personally, but from seeing how other artists in different mediums and stuff have done their thing. It's all very similar to the live content. It's all very similar. Put out content all the time. Like, even if it's just like a 30-second clip or something, get your shit out there in front of people as much as you have, as much as you can. And I know, like, in part, you're going to be like, oh, but this song sucks. Don't, you don't like. You have to let the
Yeah, don't
audience
judge
decide.
your own stuff. You'll never get anywhere judging your own stuff.
I want to hear your stuff now. Like I'm already pumped. I love EDM and dubstep and like electronica music, and I'm like, dude, I want to hear this right
Get the
now.
glow sticks, do liquid. You're like,
Yeah. But yeah, man, put that shit out there. Share it. Put it on SoundCloud or whatever.
Yep,
or on
absolutely.
YouTube and stuff. Just every day, like one a day or something. Like put that shit out there.
Oh, somebody did ask if trademarks expire. They do. They actually do. I think it's either 5 years or 8 years, and then you have to pay an upkeep for it. But it's not as expensive as the original trademark. I think for my upkeep last time I paid for it, I want to say it was like $50 or something. It wasn't a lot. It wasn't a ton. But yeah, you do have to upkeep it because otherwise people would just trademark like everything on Earth and just own it forever. So
Right.
it's the same reason why you pay property taxes, because even if you own your entire house, someday when you die, they need a method of like getting it back from you. So if people
Right.
if people don't pay for it, you know, that's the one. That's why you pay property taxes. Is one, it either runs you off of your property when you can't afford it anymore, so they can sell it to somebody else for more money, or the other thing it does is when you die, if you don't have a family or an next of kin that continues paying it and takes ownership of it, it returns back to the pool as public property and it can be resold. So, which I think is dumb as shit, but I mean I do understand the logic behind it from like a business perspective. Hey, Brian PC, thank you for the £5 He said, check out Trance Classics channel sometime for EDM.
Done. I like
Classics.
trance.
Here, I'll put that in the clipboard.
Yeah, I like trance.
I do too. But Night Out, seriously, like send us your shit over on Twitter, man. Tag us both because I want to hear that. Like, and if you got private shit you want to show me, I'll follow you. Send it to me.
Yeah, this is your opportunity to get your music in front of what 600 people. Where's the numbers? I can't see them. How many people are in here right now? I can't see.
It should say right on the stream 455, I think.
Started streaming 31. I have it kind of smushed. Yeah, 460 people right now could be listening to your shit.
Yeah, give me if you guys like, and here's the other thing too, is I'm actually looking for some new music for the intro of my other live stream and even this one. Like I want to start doing an intro on this so that we can, you know, kind of ramp up and let people get in here. So yeah, if you got some music you guys want us to play and we like it, you know, we'll throw it on here. But I just need a release from you guys. Like if you know, basically you just need to send me an email that says from your actual email address that I have a read receipt that says that I have permission to play the music. That way if I get flagged or something like that by YouTube, I can basically provide that and then they'll undo the flag.
Ooh. There is a channel on Spotify. It's called Stream Beats. Stream Beats.
I want to say I've heard of that.
Probably it's published by a guy named Harris Heller.
Don't know that
name. He and Jay had like a moment of conflict that was like totally accidental fairly recently.
Oh, I know exactly what you're talking about. That was it the raid thing?
Yeah.
Okay, I know what you're talking about.
But he has so under Stream Beats are a few different albums, and it's totally royalty free, Creative Commons music. You like, I don't even think you have to credit back or anything. You can just use it.
That's cool.
And it's like it's actually the same music he does in a lot of his YouTube videos and stuff. And
so it's like a perpetual license kind of thing. He just grants that to anybody that wants it. That's cool.
Yeah, he worked with some producer to make some it's real cool. It's a little lo-fi kind of that kind of thing. And I don't know, some of it's pretty cool. I like there's one album called like High at the Planetarium or something like that. That's pretty fun. And Sakura Dreams, I think, is another album that sounds really. It's got that one's got kind of like a anime Asian-y sort of feel to it.
I think I'd like that though. Like for intro music, I think that's perfect.
I like it.
Like for intro music, you don't want anything that's like really like lyrics and stuff like that, like get in the way because you want to talk over the music. So it's like the simpler the music, you don't want something that's like so crazy that like voice just gets completely drowned in it. Hey Dante, what is up, my man? We got Dante Tech in the house. Thank you for the £10. He said, as a YouTuber that started 10 years ago, is there any advice you could give me? I'm building my own home studios. I'm currently in a conservatory. Don't judge too harshly. Okay, conservatory. Is that one of those UK words for like dormitorium, or is that what a conservatory is? Is that like a hostel? Like what's the conversion to US English speak?
I always thought like a conservatory was like like glassed in, almost like a greenhouse, but for like with birds and shit. Am I wrong?
That'd be a weird fucking place to live, but cool. Hey Dante, you need to clarify, and then I'll be able to give you some input, my man. Oh, look who's in the house. We got Shoe Nice in this bitch.
Level one advice: record you building your studio.
That is true. People love build videos. Love them.
It sounds like you're almost like kind of in a reboot sort of mode right now. And that's the perfect kind of content to really get you started, in my opinion. Conservatory, basically enclosed porch, glass walls and roof. Yeah, okay. So I had the right mental image. Think like a sunroom, Jerry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, shit. How would you do? Okay, this is the problem with the sunroom, though.
Blackout curtain.
No. How do you put it? Well, that too. But how do you put it? The natural light would be amazing, actually, if you played it right. But how would you do the sound canceling? Because glass reflects sound really bad.
Heavy curtains.
You think just putting up some heavy curtains would do it?
Yeah, there's some really good you can get acoustic blocking curtains as well that do light and acoustic. They're real thick.
Those. Okay.
Heck, you could go to, I mean, if you wanted to be cheeseball and cheap, you could just go to Goodwill or whatever your local thrift store and buy up a bunch of thick quilts and blankets.
That's true.
And there has to be a space, a bit of,
2-3
inches. Yeah, between the blanket and the wall or whatever. That'd net real good. Real good.
Yeah, I know heavy carpet, too. That's another thing people overlook, is if you want to drop the echo in a room dramatically and you have a hard floor, carpet. Like, literally, carpet will drop your echo by a massive amount. The other thing, too, is, 45-degree angle foam. Like where you have the split 45-degree angle. What it does is it deflects the audio and then absorbs it and converts it into heat.
Yeah, I mean, you can get them panels too, cheap. I bought like 36 of them for $20. I
did my entire roof right here in front of me because I was getting so much reflection off the monitors and the table. Yeah. I just put a massive panel across the whole top of the ceiling, and then at one point I even had the whole other side of the ceiling done, but it was dropping the light too much in the room, having that much black everywhere. So I ended up taking that down. But I want to say it's enough to do like an entire ceiling in a huge room, and I think I paid like $80. For everything, to cover every square inch of everything. It's not expensive. Like the really dense stuff is expensive, but the regular stuff is not expensive. Let's see. Did he respond back about the? Did he tell us what the conservatory was, or are we still just assuming it's the glass thing?
Glass and stuff. Yeah.
Okay, it is glass and stuff. Yeah, the light will be amazing. Like for recording natural light, there is no way to simulate natural light. There isn't. Like, I don't care if you have the most expensive panels and the best diffusers and everything like that. You will not get the same effect as just natural sunlight. It is the craziest thing. Let's see here. What's that?
How'd you stick the foam to the wall?
Oh, I did. With mine, I actually used hot glue. Let me explain though why I did this. Like there is an explanation behind it. One, it's because I'm mounting it on a 45-degree surface. So when I used like sticky tack, like 3M sticky tack, the heat rising up from my monitors would instantly cause it to fall. So I used hot glue. So here's the thing that sucks about hot glue, and why I wouldn't recommend you doing it unless it's a permanent installation, is because to take it off, you have to heat it up with like a heat gun or a hairdryer. To basically get it malleable and peel it off, and then you have to scrape off the hot glue with like a spatula. And when you do that, you take off the texturing on the wall, so you have to retexture where you do it. But there's no more solid way to do it. Like nothing will take these panels off my ceiling now. And I tried everything. I tried 3M sticky tack. I tried the stuff that people use for applying Dynamat inside of cars. Like 3 different strengths. I even used the ultra strength spray on adhesive. None of it would hold it to the painted texture. It just wouldn't.
Yeah.
Hey Lewis, thank you for the €5. He said, how to prevent Windows not to change audio devices automatically when you plug in a new USB webcam with a mic. Unfortunately, you can't. You can't. Microsoft Windows 10 thinks that every device that you plug in is the new shiny that you're going to want to use. Yep. There is a way I think you can use is a voice meter. There is a program out there that I've heard of that will switch it back. So basically, it's a third-party program that basically will just make sure that whatever device you want primary always stays primary, and then when you plug something in, Windows will try to switch it, and then voice meter will notice it switched and just switch it back for you.
Yeah,
I think it's voice meter.
I have, that's what I use is voice meter, and then I have the inputs and outputs of voice meter set as defaults. Like right now, I go to my audio devices, and I have for under playback, I have it says speakers, and then under it says VB audio voice meter VIO, and that is my default output.
Yep. If you plug in another audio device, though, if you plug in a new microphone, will it select the new microphone, or will it automatically go back to your old one?
It grabbed it. So for just today, I actually had to re-plug in my mic and webcam, and it still kept voice meter out as the default. I did have to go into voice meter and reset, tell it to this is the mic you should look at, this is the output you should be going to.
Oh, okay.
Because if I unplug my headphones from the computer, it defaults to my TV for output.
Yep.
Or the HDMI output rather, because and then I think it'll default to the webcam if I just unplug this. Yeah. But really, there isn't a whole lot of way to do it.
Let's see. Uplink, thank you for the 5. Is that pounds, right? Yeah, £5. He said sometimes or somehow it's possible to get Hyper-V on home in Windows 10. No, unfortunately not. Only the Pro SKU and above have Hyper-V support because it actually requires quite a few really low-level features added to operating system, and home is not designed to work with it.
So I have it. Continuing that sentence, he says I have it working on my PC, which runs 10 home. Is that a pro feature?
Wait, how did he get it? Okay, I'm curious how you got it working on home because it's not supposed to. Wait a second. I wonder if they added it to home for Windows Sandbox. Because there's a Windows Sandbox feature uses Hyper-V, and I wonder if they wanted that to work on home also. I mean, if you actually have it working Uplink, let us know in chat, because that's something I will look into, because a lot of people ask me all the time why they don't have Hyper-V on their home SKU. And I would like to give them an answer. Let's hear. Trevor said, have you guys talked about WinGet? Jerry's theory on Microsoft turning Windows into Linux distro is more believable to me now. Actually, wait a second. WinGet? I haven't heard of this, but let me look this up really quick. So use WinGet tool to install and manage applications. Okay, hold on here. Windows Packet Manager, WinGet. You know, I've never actually used this tool. Let's see, public preview. WinGet command line tool enables developers to discover, install, upgrade, and remove and configure applications for Windows 10 computers. So it's basically the same as, what is that Linux tool for, is it not DISM? Package Manager?
No idea.
There's a tool in most Linux distributions that you can use to just install packages and stuff, and it looks like they've adopted something similar. Oh, it's a PowerShell thing. That's why I haven't used it. Okay, this looks pretty cool. I'm going to bookmark this. If you guys here, I'll put a link in chat so you guys know what he's talking about. There we go. aptget. Thank you. Thank you, Adrian. That's what I was thinking of as aptget.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's how you pull shit out of the repositories.
Exactly. No. Okay, that I'm definitely going to give a look at. That's titties. That's something I've actually been looking for. Dante, thank you for the €10. He said I have acoustic foam I can set up, lavalier mic, and edit as much as possible in Adobe. If you wish to have a look at the channel, the conservatory is like a sunroom. Yeah, with all that glass and stuff, I'd say use the curtain technique. Like if you can find some heavy curtains, because you're going to need to knock down that echo. And the problem is echo is really difficult to remove in post. Echo is the one thing that you can remove background noise. You can remove, a car's idling in the background, leaf blowers, lawnmowers. You can edit out a lot of shit, but echo is something I have really, really never had a lot of success removing.
Hey, cool! You are vlogging the studio build. That's awesome. I see that shit. Pardon my French. Sorry, I see that. I see progress update on the studio vlog part 1. That's awesome. Do more of that.
Excuse me.
That kind of stuff.
Hey, Kat, thank you for the $5 tip. Appreciate it.
Approachable.
Did he send you a link to his thing, or?
He just said check out his channel.
Oh shit! Where is it? I didn't see it.
Dante Armor Tech.
Oh, you just went and looked him up by his name here. Okay.
Yeah.
I want to see this. I don't want to be in the dark. Let's see here.
I like your thumbnails too. By the way, I'm not coming from any sort of professional YouTuber here. I'm more of a live content guy, but your thumbnails are really good looking.
Yeah, they're not bad. They're not bad at all, actually. It looks like your game is on point. Oh man, he's got 1,000 subscribers too. He's well on his way. All right, where's the studio? I want to see this.
I like the sitting at the table with the shirt and vest. That's a good look for you know looking at that thumbnail. Boom, that's a review video. Like you just know.
Oh, he's already so he's already got noise canceling foam up. I can see it. So and it's in the direction of like he's talking into it, which is exactly what you want.
Dude, I like what you got going on here, man.
Dude, are you using sheetrock as your table? Dude, that little table extension that he put over the cabinets, I'm pretty sure that's sheetrock coming from an ex-drywaller. Dude, I would not trust sheetrock to load-bearing anything that way. Like, because the problem is the moisture in the room will permeate into it when the side isn't mudded and taped. So
that's got to be...
I hope that's temporary, dude.
It's got to be wood, like a countertop almost.
I don't know, dude. I've been doing drywall for a long time, and that looks an awful lot like drywall mud with the paper over it. But here, let's see what he says. I'm dead curious now.
This is fun.
I know. This is like pimp my setup.
Right.
Are you guys watching along with us? Did you got here? Let's send here. I'm gonna post this video so everybody can go take a look.
Man, I'm super amateur status.
So I like his chair though. That chair has had a healthy life.
That is
That chair screams like nerd. I love it.
You can tell that you liked that chair. That was a good chair.
Bill said, "But you've been doing drywall, dude. I did drywall before I went to Microsoft. Like I actually did drywall. Like the first half of my life with my dad, I did drywall." And then I quit that when I went to Motherboard Computers. Yes, that was the name of the store I worked at. And then I went from there to Microsoft. So, yeah, I have a background in drywall. I do all my own drywall on my own house. I fucking hate it. It's like the most terrible job that you can possibly do. Dude, it's bad. It's like, oh my God. Only drywallers know how bad it is to do drywall. It is terrible.
Right? Like, could you imagine finishing like an attic with the angled walls? Fuck, that's no fun.
Sheetrock is heavy. It is super, super heavy. It weighs more than wood. And then you have to hold that crap over your head while another person's like screwing it in. And then you have to hold a bazooka over your head. And if you don't know what a bazooka is, it's a tool that you fill with like a gallon of taping mud, which is also very heavy. And you use it to mud and run tape along the seams in a house. And try holding that over your head for an entire day. Like, you'll get ripped really quick, but man, it messes your back up so bad. Like, I attribute like 90% of my back problems to like working with my dad doing drywall. And scraping floors, like because after you're done taping the house, all the mud that drips on the floor, you have to scrape up using these floor scrapers. And oh man, just imagine like constantly running back and forth and then having something just jar you and stop. Like it jacks up all your joints and gives you inflammation. It's one of the worst jobs you can do for your body. Oh, Exo subbed. Welcome, sir. Hey, Uplink, thank you for the £5.
Cool stuff.
He said, I found a batch script that got it working. It behaves exactly as it should in pro SKUs of Windows. Microsoft should add it as a home feature. That is interesting. Uplink, can you tweet that at me or post a link to how you did it in Off Topic on Discord? Because I am genuinely curious how you got that working, because Microsoft absolutely does not want that in Home Edition. Like that's like one of their biggest selling points of the pro SKU is hypervisor. So that's a little bizarre. If you got that working, I definitely want to do a video on that. And I will absolutely credit your ass if it works. Hey, Dante, thank you for the 10 pounds, sir. He said it's supported. He said it's supported heavily, trust me, and it's thick, and I'm building my own RGB desk when I get into the studio. Also, it's my kid's playroom when I clear the studio away. Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. Cool. Just be careful with drywall, though, because it seems like it's really sturdy. But remember, drywall is designed to be scored and broken. So that's the whole point of it. It's literally just a powder suspension wrapped inside of paper. So if you karate chop a piece of drywall, it will break like a piece of glass, like across where you hit it. It is super fragile stuff. It seems like it's load bearing until it's not. It doesn't have give like wood. It won't just like bend a little and stay there. It will just snap. Like when it goes hard. So just beware. This is coming from somebody who's worked with a lot of drywall. Like, do not trust it as load bearing. The only time that it's acceptable to use as a load-bearing structure is if you say you box in something, and you have a beam every foot, and then you put the sheetrock across it and you screw it along the perimeter and across the beams, then it will be load-bearing because it'll distribute the load because it'll be pulling it in all directions by the paper. Basically, it's kind of like a hammock, but if you don't have it supported on the edges, it will collapse. Plus, it absorbs moisture like crazy if it's not the marine rated drywall, or I should say bathroom rated drywall. Hey, Pup Shepherd just gave us the tip, bro.
Oh, what?
$2 for just the tip, man.
Aww.
Thank you for those super chats, guys. We appreciate it. We split those up between us, so every show we do, we right down the middle. Alex said, "Have you ever seen the open Sims rig designed for racing cockpits? I think making one of them is my first rig, saving to get an Obodo frame. The Obodo Revolution is actually really, really good. I have an Obodo Revolution. It served me really well, but it's not very adjustable. Its adjustability is really shitty. If I was going to recommend any racing cockpit right now, it would be the Sim Experience." The PX100, the one that's aluminum extrusion. I think it's called the P1X, and they're a little on the spendy side, but they're 100% aluminum extrusion, which means you can move anything to where you want. You can put the shifter within a millimeter of where you want it. You can put the steering wheel angled a millimeter of where you want it. It's like Legos. So, and it's way sturdier too. That's the other thing too, is it's way sturdier than the Obodos. Although Obodo does make a good cockpit though, so if you only want to spend, like, I think, what do they cost, like $700 or something, then go with the Obodo. But if you want to spend a couple $100 more, go with the P1X. The P1X looks ugly. No, it totally looks ugly. But that's the whole point. Is like a racing simulator doesn't need to look good. Like, you're gonna put on VR goggles or be looking at big screens. You want stuff. You want it to be sturdy. Oh, and the other thing too is if you ever want to make it full motion, like if you ever want to put the 6 degrees of freedom or whatever on it, and put like the what do they call it, the open. Was it open cockpit or whatever, which I'm gonna put on mine. You need to have a completely rigid cockpit, and you're not gonna have a rigid cockpit if you go with the Obodo. It's not designed for that. Oh, Uplink, thank you so much for posting that. Hey, Brett, what's up, my man? Thank you for the $10. Said, stopping by to say hello to my favorite nerds. Researching parts for my 12-year-old son to build a PC this summer. Take care. Brett, why do you look so damn familiar?
Because he's from Puget Systems.
That's why. I was like, I wasn't recognizing the name, but I saw the picture and I'm like, I know that dude. That's cool, man. That's cool, Brett. It's good to see you, bud.
So we should probably hit our topics since I've only got about a little over an hour left. Not that I mind. We can talk about anything. I just don't know if we...
Well, if you want to hit topics, we're gonna hit topics, dude. You're the show's creative director.
Fine with me.
I just promoted you. I'll tell you what though. Before you jump into the topics, just entertain the troops here. While I go and drop my old man trowel real quick, and I'll be right back. I drank the coffee and it's trying to escape through my chair, so I will be right back. AuxxZillary, you have the con.
All right, when we'll get a Switch Lite review? Probably never. You see Jay's video on the Corsair water blocks linking? No. Honestly, I do not consume a lot of YouTube content. Actually, I don't consume a lot of content in general lately. I mean, I watch some TV here and there. There's a handful of shows that I watch, but I haven't even really been watching Twitch much. I haven't been playing a lot of games, anything like that. So it works even on slow ring insider builds. I'm not sure what that means. I'm sorry. You look to be getting more buried each week in that garage. It might look that way. It hasn't really changed a whole lot. Hi from Sweden. Oh, that's cool. What's up, Peter Berg? That's Jerry's long-lost Swedish cousin. The Corsair water blocks are leaking at the input-output of the block. Well, that sucks. Damn. I'm sorry to hear that. Oh, shit. Hey, thanks to all these people fucking following me on Twitter now. Thank you, you guys. Windows Insider builds in slow ring also work with this. Oh, I see. Okay. Hello from France, Francais. Is there a supported version of Redis for Windows yet? Don't know myself. Someone in chat might know a little more than me. Premium PC says, "Hey guys, greetings from Switzerland. Enjoying your tech talk. Also watch the back with Jay and Jerry. And you're a great team, Rock On." Thank you. That's very nice. Other than the normal settings, is there anything I can do for a PC that will not go to sleep? Did fresh install on second motherboard, unplugged everything, haven't swapped CPU, RAM, or GPU. There's really two things. There's two parts to your PC sleeping, and we're talking. And this is going to be a PC, desktop PC, not a laptop. Laptop power settings is something else if it's a laptop, but it sounds like you're talking about a desktop. Two things: motherboard. There are sleep states built into it's a BIOS thing. First, BIOS. Second, Windows settings. That's really what it comes down to. Windows tells the motherboard to power shit down for different sleep states. Sometimes, like you can sleep your PC where it's still everything is still basically powered up, but it just tunes everything down. It downclocks your CPU. It basically turns your graphics card off, but your drives are still powered on. And then there's like hibernate, which is like a deeper sleep, where it will actually move active memory to a special place on your drive, and then power everything down to a super low power state. And then when you wake up from hibernate, it moves everything out from that protected block in the or whatever in the drive to the memory, brings up back everything, all your applications, everything come back to their state beforehand.
Shit, you're going deep on ACPI. Listen to this guy over here.
If you're having problems with your sleep states,
which everybody does.
It's I would investigate your motherboard first, see if there's other people who have had the problem. Update your BIOS to not the newest one, but go one lower than the newest one. And make sure all your settings in there. You don't have something weird like Wake on LAN or Wake on USB. Wake on USB will power your system. You can actually have this where your PC will turn on by wiggling your mouse. Like you'll be in a completely off state, and you can wiggle your mouse, and boing, it'll turn on. Super weird because sometimes your optical mice will just jitter and wake up. We actually this was something that I overheard at work one time. Was some scientist guy was having trouble. So, like they were turning their computers off, and like, why am I coming into the office with my PC on? This is, and we had, there's no. That's another thing is power states. Where if your thing comes unplugged and you plug it back in, do you want your PC to turn back on or stay turned off, or to return to whatever state it was in when it was unplugged? Those are settings to look at as well.
Here's what I'm going to recommend from what I've heard you do, because you've actually given a better explanation than I would have. Like, I'm actually surprised that you go that deep into power management, but it's just a testament to how much you guys have to fuck with this at Puget. ACPI is literally the most buggy feature and always has been in Windows. And it's not Microsoft's fault. Let me explain. It's not actually Microsoft's fault this time. The reason ACPI is such a piece of turd is because it's dependent on how the drivers react to recovering from sleep states. All the drivers, every kernel mode driver on your computer has to support ACPI. It's a part of how they implement the standards, and most devices don't implement it properly. So what you end up having is a device that doesn't behave well, and if one device doesn't behave well when the computer's coming back from a sleep state, it can cause a TDR, it can cause a bug check, it can cause blue screen of death, it can cause the system to lock up, it can cause your mouse and keyboard just to stop working. So my recommendation to people is, like, the only thing I use in power management is literally just power off the display. That's all I do. Like, I understand why some people, if power is really expensive, you might want to power the computer off. If you're going to just turn the damn thing off and just suffer the boot up time bringing it back, because ACPI makes your system unstable. I have yet to see even the WICL certified systems, the systems that Microsoft certified as Windows Hardware Quality Labs tested for ACPI. The second that somebody plugs a damn USB webcam into them, they don't fucking work right anymore. So,
and really though, you really should just turn it off.
Yeah, I don't trust ACPI. I never have. And honestly, I filed probably more ACPI bugs at Microsoft than any other bug in the 15 years that I was there. Like every single time you come back from a sleep state, something is not right because the system just does not recover flawlessly and never does.
Or, trust your power management. I mean, like if you're leaving it on and nothing's happening, your CPU is going to downclock to like 800 megahertz anyway.
Yeah.
Your GPU is going to not do anything. If there's nothing going on, Windows is pretty good about its power management just by default. So
yeah,
I have mine never really goes to sleep. I lock my workstation and turn my monitor off, and that's it. Like, and I power is cheap here. Like I think the most expensive I've ever paying for power is like 12 cents per kilowatt hour.
Yeah.
And so I could be mining all the time and still only have like a $20 difference in my power bill, but that's hydroelectric for you. Your mileage may vary, but still just pick one, either on or off, and just leave it there.
Yeah. Oh, somebody asked what ACPI stands for. It's Advanced Configuration and Power Interface. It's basically just the standard that Windows uses to talk to the BIOS or EFI to tell your computer how to go to sleep. And there's like 5 sleep states. I think you talked about it, S0 through S5. And each sleep state is a lower power consumption. So like S1 might be just like turning off the monitor, issuing an EIDE command or whatever to the display to tell it to power off. Then like, S2 and S3 may be like further power down, like suspend the processor, suspend the threads, keep the memory powered and active so that the memory stays intact. And then basically coming back from ACPI sleep is going to do that. But there are some sleep states where it's literally like unload certain things out of the operating system, unload the drivers, preserve the memory, shut down the kernel, and freeze the system and shut off power to everything. And when you get to that level of sleep, coming back from that is really difficult to do unless every device behaves exactly like it's supposed to, and they never do. If you have a bunch of USB devices connected to your computer other than just like a generic keyboard and mouse, you're going to have problems with ACPI. Like, it's just one of those things that just never, ever has worked right. And the reason it works good on like Apple products do really well with it because Apple products are engineered, the same people that make the hardware make the software. So they make sure that it all works well together. In the PC world, unfortunately, there's a billion permutations of hardware. There's tons of motherboards, different BIOSes, different chipsets. And all of these things all factor into how ACPI is implemented. And so it's really hard for Windows to like implement it in a way that works. And now I'm not saying that it's impossible. You may actually have a good hardware configuration that's simple enough and tested enough if you bought like an off-the-shelf Dell computer and it's in the WICL certified list and you don't plug a bunch of like external DACs and stuff into it. Like for instance, that breaks ACPI. That right there, that Yamaha mixer board right there, when I come back from a suspended sleep state, that will not come back on in the driver will report that it didn't respond. And I have to literally go into Device Manager, disable and re-enable the driver, or unplug the USB and plug it back in. Same thing with my Cam Link for this. So I'm just saying, it's not worth it. And the thing is, too, is you're not going to save a ton of time, like on a modern computer. If you have an SSD and everything, your boot time into Windows is going to be like sub 10 seconds. And it's going to, and waking from a low sleep state, you might be 5 seconds. So it's like, I'd rather just have the 5 seconds and burn no power. And if you're worried about like losing your work and stuff like that, when you shut your computer down, you can actually have it like, it'll pause if you have open documents and stuff, say, do you want to save these? So you don't have to worry about like losing stuff anymore. Well, usually if the app's implementing it correctly. So I would say just my recommendation is a former Microsoft employee and somebody who worked on every single product since Windows XP through Windows 8.1. There's my certification right there. I'm going to tell you right now, ACPI is a steaming piece of shit and you're better off just powering your stuff off.
Yeah, that's really. Or just leaving it on.
Or leave your computer on, power off the monitor. Yeah.
It doesn't hurt. I've left many PCs just on all the time. My favorite was an HP laptop, one of their like workstation replacement ones, the WX line, I think it was. That thing never turned off for over 2 years. I left it on, like on full power, everything for 2 years, never turned it off. I think it rebooted for like Windows updates and stuff, but never ever had a powered it down in 2 years, over 2 years. Yeah, high fives to those guys.
I'll tell you guys a trick. There is a cheap trick that you can do if you're worried that your computer's consuming a lot of power, because like you were saying, that if you idle your computer, so all the processes or whatever just sitting there, it's just bare minimum, your GPU is going to way underclock. It's going to way underclock. Your CPU is going to drop down, like you said, like 700-800 megahertz. Everything's going to chill out in your system. So if you're worried that your system's drawing a ton of power when it's at idle, go get yourself a device called a kilowatt. They cost like 15, 20 bucks on Amazon, and you plug it in between your computer and the wall, and it will tell you exactly in real time what the power load is and what the current draw is. And it'll even factor out things like the newer ones. You can even like factor out like cost per hour. Like you can, the brand new one that they got, you can even go in there and like punch in like how much your power costs. So you plug that thing in, and that one might be a little bit more expensive, but you plug it in, you can factor it out. Just to give you an idea, you know my big server that I have, my Puget server that has 8 GPUs in it? That thing at full tilt, when I'm running folding at home, at full tilt, it consumes right around 790 to 800 watts. Okay? When it's idling, if I have nothing, just booting to the desktop and just sitting at the desktop and doing nothing, it draws 90 watts. Wow. So that, and this is a rack mount server with all the fans, 90 watts. That's all it's pulling. So you might be surprised. Now, if you plug in your computer and it's still pulling like 500 watts, then you probably have like the most inefficient power supply ever fitted computer. And you might have like a new problem you want to address. Just shut the thing down. Let's see, what do we got here? Elevators, thank you for the $1. Uplink, thank you for the £2. He said,
just to be clear, you cannot disable the ACPI.
What's that? You
cannot disable the ACPI. It's a motherboard level talk with the OS.
To a degree, right? You can actually disable power management through most BIOSes.
Yeah,
but if you disable it through the BIOS, then Windows won't even acknowledge it. Like if you tell Windows to go to sleep, it'll just be like, "Sorry, I can't," because the motherboard will tell you to fuck off. And they added that feature to the BIOS on purpose because it's so unstable.
Yeah, so you can turn off your sleep state settings in the BIOS, but the ACPI bit is still in the operating system.
Correct. All the power management stuff is in the operating system. The motherboard just contains the supporting pieces. And if if you disable ACPI in the BIOS and Windows tries to tell it to go into a low power state, the motherboard will just tell it to F off.
Well, yeah, you won't be able to.
And you won't be able to. The computer will just stay on. Like, even though you enable it and tell it to go to sleep, it won't. It'll, like, turn off the display. It'll go to the lowest sleep state it can obtain that the BIOS will allow it to.
You may not even get the setting.
I'm pretty sure Windows hides the setting, though, if it's disabled.
I only have sleep. I don't have hibernate. That tells me I probably have the higher level sleep states disabled in the BIOS. Correct.
Because if you had it enabled, it would be because hibernate is S5, and hibernate is where everything spins down. CPU, basically, it just powers your memory. Everything else freezes in time. Oh, and there's another big problem with ACPI too, and they have made it a lot better in Windows 10, but this is another problem. If you have any applications that are sensitive to time. So like if you're using an application, like say you're recording a video, right? And you hibernate the system while you're recording a video. And then you bring the computer back from a sleep state, you'll probably crash that application. Because what'll happen is the application will see a radical change in time. And from the application's perspective, it happened instantly. And a lot of apps don't factor for that. So that's another problem with ACPI is software support. Because when you put the computer to sleep, it will tell the apps. One of the parts about going to sleep in ACPI is it tells all the apps that the computer's going into a low power state and allows the apps an opportunity to basically shelve themselves. If the app doesn't shelve itself, from the app's perspective, it just freezes in time. And then when the computer comes back, it's running again and it doesn't know the computer ever froze. So all of a sudden, if it's checking the time, so let's say you have an app that's recording video and it's ticking off the time on the CPU and it jumps 2 hours or 8 hours into the future, some apps can't handle that and they'll just straight up throw an exception and crash. So again, it's just sleep states just are not a widely supported thing, and they never have been. Microsoft worked on it for years and years and years, even when I was there, and they could never get that shit stable, ever. So put it this way, it's such a bad feature that even internally to Microsoft, the only sleep states that we supported via group policy was turning off the monitor and locking the computer. That was it. Which that's not even a sleep state. That's just a group policy that says when the monitor shuts off, when the computer's idle, lock the box. But they wouldn't even use full ACPI because developers were coming back and they'd wake their computer up after going and getting a coffee and it'd boot up to the desktop and then Visual Studio would just shit the bed and crash for like no reason because like the time jumped in the future and Visual Studio was like, oh shit, the time changed by 15 minutes in 1 nanosecond. Something's wrong. So just beware. Beware. It's a very unstable feature. I'm just telling you from personal experience, I would not use it. Hey, Napalm, thank you for the £5. ACPI has a bytecode called AML, and it's nuts. It's where most of the bugs come from. Posted. Oh, interesting. I'll check that out, man. I've never done the deep dive into ACPI. However, I knew the guy that wrote the ACPI stack. His name was Dieter Omsite, and he was in my building at 26, and he was the one that actually wrote the ACPI stack for Windows Vista. And I remember that guy was like in my office like every other day. Like, oh, I see you found a new bug. I see you found a new bug. Oh, there's a bug here, blah, blah. And he'd always come in and be like, oh, well, there's no way we can fix that. That's an architectural flaw. Oh, well, there's no way we can fix that. That's an architectural flaw. Oh, that's the driver's fault. Like, the company that makes the driver for that device that we actually ship in box with Windows and WCL certify, it's their problem. Like, dude, it's like, my God. Just don't trust it. You're like, half the time your computer's not going to come back in the same state it went to sleep. Oh, John said power config -H off removes all the hibernation file.
Oh, there you go.
That's kind of cool. I mean, I know you can disable it. You can disable it at the OS level, and you can disable it at the BIOS level, or through EFI. I know there's a command. Like if you boot into the EFI shell, there's a command that you can do too that'll disable all advanced power states. But yeah, I think both of us agree that it's just better if you can to just idle the computer and turn off the monitor.
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah, because your monitor's probably chewing your monitor's probably chewing between like 90 and 150 watts of power. Your monitor is putting out more heat and chewing up more power than like your gaming PC, probably. Yeah, unless you're like folding and mining and stuff.
Yeah. Or just turn it off. Like that's fine too.
All right, you ready to jump on them topics, sir?
Yeah, I guess so. I think so.
All right, well, let's hear about this record-breaking laser internet. I know nothing about it. I just heard about it before the show.
I just skimmed the article. It seemed pretty interesting. Before anybody gets too hype, this is not yet a commercial product. Some researchers in Australia being bored during their quarantine, apparently from a very small the optical chip, they call it, in 1 second the system could download 1,000 high-def movies, which also happens to be about equivalent to grabbing every episode from the Doctor Who canon in HD, apparently. So this is very first step kind of stuff. Let's see. They're saying that they hit data speeds of 44.2 terabits per second from one light source. So I guess generally you would need many tiny lasers in order to do this, but they've somehow let's see, how did they say it? The key to the breakthrough is called a microcomb, which is a tiny device that can stand in for 80 lasers. The researchers describe it as acting like a rainbow made up of hundreds of high-quality infrared lasers from a single chip. And so each stream of light in that tiny rainbow can act as an independent communications channel.
That's pretty cool, actually. Cool. So instead of shining one wavelength of light, they're sending a huge broad wavelength of light and then like picking out the different wavelengths and using them like different frequencies.
Yeah, that seems to be the thing. We can. They did publish their results Friday, I guess. Was that yesterday, Friday?
You know what's weird about this seems like something that should have happened a long time ago, doesn't it? Like, think about it. We've had fiber optic, right? We've had cables that transmit light. And they just use basically like an infrared wavelength that travels like a really long distance. Maybe that's the reason why this wasn't practical before, is other wavelengths of light. Maybe they don't travel as good through the cable or something. But it makes sense to me that if you send pure white light instead of like red light, which is like the culmination of like all the different light spectrums, if you have a way of picking them apart and grabbing each wavelength of light, couldn't each wavelength of light be its own data path, just like with radio frequencies, for instance? Isn't light just visible radio frequencies, basically?
Essentially, yeah. And I think that's kind of what they're hitting on here, is that they were able to, with this chip, is either able to split it out.
Yeah.
I posted a link in the chat to the actual.
I've got it up on the screen actually.
White paper. Is that the article from CNET or their white paper?
Oh, this is the one you sent me. Yeah, this is CNET. This is the record-breaking fast internet could supercharge future binge watching and more.
Yeah, so if we go to this nature.com one, this is the actual paper. Their research paper that they put out.
Because I'm looking at the picture. I'm looking at the picture on the screen right now with everybody that shows the device that's smaller than a quarter. And if you look at it, it looks like each one of the little contacts on this device is like a I don't know, it almost has a rainbow effect to it. Like, I don't know if each one of those is sensitive to a different spectrum of light, but it also looks like they have a light pipe coming into it that has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, like 8 different fiber optic cables. So I'm guessing each one of those is probably responsible for carrying like a different wavelength of light or something.
So, and this wasn't just like in the lab. They were able to achieve these data transmissions over 75 kilometers of standard optical fiber using a single
That's
integrated chip source. So
That's
like,
insane,
so
actually. That's super insane.
that's pretty slick. Like that could be practically like, to the wall fiber optic. Like you can, and then you just need a little box to decode the light blinking. That's pretty freaking cool.
Like and I don't understand why this. So the only thing I can think of is that technology may have been limited. Like they literally didn't have the like technology to break out the light traveling that fast, right? Being able to separate it all out and everything. Because I know fiber optic cards, what do they call them? Not Toslink, that's audio. What do they call the Ethernet cards when you run fiber optics? They have two different connectors. Like you have a regular Ethernet connector, which is copper, and then you have the other ones that come with the fiber optic connection. I can't remember what it's called.
Yeah, I'm not sure myself.
And usually it's like a dual coupler. It's like two fiber optics going into the card, one receive, one send. Like so you get full duplex because you can't send light in both directions at the same time. Like you'd have to time them, right? So SFP. Thank you. SFP. That's right. So anytime you buy a network card, like a 10 gig network card, it'll ask you if you want Ethernet or SFP, because an SFP is capable of like way higher bandwidth, because it's fiber optic, right? But it sounds to me like those use like one wavelength of light, like they're literally like Morse code, and they're getting 10 gig. So if you can have like 100 different light spectrums, or however many this said it had, how many different light spectrums did they say that? 1,000? No, sorry, that's 1,000 high def movies. What does it say?
They were saying it takes a place of 80
lasers. Yeah, so 80 wavelengths of light, and each one of them could be Morse coding exactly the same, right? Or think about it. If you have 80, you could also use a parity system, right? Where it's like you have 75 bits and then you have 5 parity bits or whatever, and then you even have faster data correcting. It's really neat. I honestly believe that this technology, at least the concept for this technology, probably existed a very, very long time ago. And they're just now having the technology where they can take advantage of it. Because this seems like something that should have been implemented a long time ago. Because, like, obviously, you can send different light spectrums simultaneously. Because that's actually, you get a white laser, right? Like, you get a white laser literally by mixing a red, green, and blue laser together and focusing them through a prism, and you get white light, right? So it makes sense that, and then you can deconstruct that white light back down to red, blue, and green with another prism on the other side. So why can't you do that with networking and have red, green, and blue each be their own bandwidth? It just, I don't know. For some reason that makes sense to me, but I'm not a genius when it comes to this stuff, so I really don't know. Napalm said the light transmission is not normally the limiting factor, but the processing and decoding. Yeah, and that's what I'm thinking too, is that it's like this is probably something that they've been dreaming about for like 20 years, but technology finally caught up with it, and they're like, oh, we have a chip that can actually break out this light and process it that fast.
Yeah, that seems to be the bigger breakthrough here, is that so these microcombs have been a thing for a bit, because they've in this paper they've been talking about like, oh, we've used these what is it, temporal soliton states for these microcombs, have been used in everything from spectroscopy to microwave photonics, frequency synthesis, optical ranging, quantum sources, meteorology, metrology, and more. And so the big thing here is that they're to quote, a powerful class of microcomb termed soliton crystals was reported and devices realized in a CMOS compatible platform. And they've proven highly successful at forming the basis for microwave and RF photonic devices. So that's kind of the thing, is I think they've gotten it to a point where it's compatible with current technology or something, the CMOS thing at least.
You know what I could totally see this being used for, although it's like too little too late since Elon's already like deployed the first generation of satellites. But I know the first generation of satellites, they wanted them to have laser communication between them. But something broke down in that plan. They said it was actually faster for them to beam the signal down to the ground and then move it along the ground and then send it back up to the next satellite. But it would make sense that like with that amount of bandwidth, if each satellite could be shooting a rainbow laser at each other and this massive visible spectrum of light, and you could get this 44 or whatever, what was the bandwidth? It was something insane, right? Like it doesn't even register as like making sense. Like I don't even think it's like a real number. The transmission speed. 44.2 terabits per second.
Terabits. Yeah.
I mean, that's just insane. And if you can do fiber optic over a wire, you can also do fiber optic through a vacuum. Like you can focus a light through a vacuum. If you can do it through a fiber optic cable, you can do it by focusing that same light source on a single point.
That's cool.
So, they'd have to have like some kind of a beam forming, like a targeting system where they would stay in alignment with each other. But they were already going to do that anyways with just conventional fiber optics. I wonder if something like this, like that's the future of the internet, is we're just going to have a global satellite network that are all shooting rainbow lasers at each other.
I would maybe. The trouble is like it'd be up and down. The atmosphere gets in the way. So like that would probably mess with some of the signal, right? Like what if you're
No, I'm talking just between the satellites. Not from the satellites to the ground. That would still have to be radio. But I'm saying the satellites, if they had that bandwidth between each other, then all the ground signals coming up could all, because the majority of the bandwidth's going to be the satellites trading back and forth, right? So they trade back and forth doing the super high bandwidth thing, and then they communicate down to Earth using just like the radio frequency. Because I think it uses, I think the Elon satellites use beamforming, right? Where they can send a super ultra high frequency signal that normally wouldn't travel over a great distance, but when you focus it to a point, it can go a long distance. Just like 5G. Have you seen how the 5G technology works for cell phones?
No.
So 5G is ultra high frequency. High frequencies don't work well. They don't permeate through like buildings and walls and through trees and stuff very well when you send them out omnidirectionally. So what they do is they use beamforming. So basically your phone, when it talks to the tower, the phone tells the tower where the phone is. And then it forms the beam and focuses it in the general direction of the phone. So as you're driving, each one of these connections to this thing, it's basically steering the beam and following you around so it can do a much narrower beam at much less power and get way more penetration and distance. And it's the weirdest technology ever because like one antenna can form beams in thousands of different directions. It's so bizarre. So basically when 5G comes out and you're using 5G, the cell towers are going to be literally like focusing a radio beam at you, like as you're moving around. It's really weird, dude. It's such a weird thing. Penny Pincher said 5G is a joke. No, it's not a joke. It's actually pretty amazing technology. And the other thing too is that's all the people. I know people are joking, but the 5G causing COVID and stuff, dude. 5G,
you get out of here,
guys. Okay, first off, 5G does not mean 5 gigahertz. Okay, it means 5th generation. A lot of people think it means 5 gigahertz. No, it's not the same as your router in your house. Your 5 gigahertz router in your house. It's not. This is 5G, 5th generation. It actually uses frequencies that are way, way, way higher in the spectrum. Like way higher in the spectrum. And the other thing too is they're, I think, 1/1000th the power of a photon coming from the sun. So if you walk outside, you are getting 1,000 times more radiation per square millimeter on your skin than you would ever get from even just standing next to the frickin' 5G tower.
It wouldn't cause a virus anyway.
No.
It would give you cancer.
Yep.
Like you have a more chance of getting sick living under high tension power lines. Okay, my frequent trips to Infotech in Federal Way as a kid probably were more dangerous than having a cell phone in my pocket.
Yeah,
Well,
I can actually answer Low Flying Potatoes' question. He said you won't be driving around with 5G. It's too short range unless you have a tower in your car. That's actually not true. The cool thing about 5G is that because of the beamforming technology and the density of the transmitters, because they're so much smaller than conventional transmitters, you can literally have a transmitter like every mile. As a matter of fact, right now, on average, if you live in a metropolitan area, you probably have about 7 transmitters per square mile. Like, they're everywhere. You don't even realize it. They're on top of buildings. They're on top of poles. They're hidden and concealed in trees. Like, there are so many cellular transmitters. But the cool thing about 5G is because it uses beamforming, if you're driving, it's targeting the beam at you, which gives it way greater distance. And then as soon as you are getting close to being out of the range of that tower, the next tower acknowledges that you're now closer to it, and it'll form a beam to you and then step over to it seamlessly without dropping a single packet. So you can absolutely drive with 5G. It'll be indistinguishable from 4G as long as there's coverage in that area. It's going to be pretty cool. Like I decided... What's that?
The short range part, though, I remember early on there was talk about using the 5G wavelengths or whatever to get smart cars to be able to talk to each other. Like it was a good step forward in having like autonomous driving because the cars could talk. Every car could talk to each other because they're close enough that like every car could know where every other car is because they're all talking to each other in like a big mesh network kind of thing. I thought that was kind of the idea going forward with autonomous driving.
Well, that's what's cool about 5G though is that it's targeted. So you could literally have a car with a 5G transmitter, literally target the beam to the car in front of it and pull power back, and it would be able to talk directly to that car without having spillover or crosstalk to the other vehicles.
Sure, but I feel like you would want to have kind of like a bubble around your car saying, "Hey, I'm here. Come talk to me so that I can tell you how far I am away from you and you are from me." And at least the three, or
here's the beauty of it though, is you don't need a bubble, because a bubble will encompass everything. Let's say there's a car that doesn't have 5G and you have a bubble of 5G. Let's just say that your transmissions could interfere with its electronics or something like that. This is a hypothetical, but
my telephone messes with the airplane.
Exactly.
Right?
So exactly. So, but here's why 5G is really cool, is because it's directional and it uses beamforming. You could have an emitter in the back of the car and in the front of the car and get 360-degree coverage, but you'd only be hitting the cars. Like, you'd basically be pinging the whole wavelength. As soon as a car responded, you could beamform between the two. Sure. And the cool thing is, it's not mechanical. The beamforming has to do with it steers the beam on the antenna using electricity, basically by changing the frequency, they can steer the beam around and aim it. So, and it's really cool because there's no moving parts. It can do it instantaneously. Like, it could track something traveling 1,000,000 miles an hour. It'd be able to keep the beam pointed at it because there's no mechanical parts. There's no mechanical leg. But it's really high in the spectrum. I mean, it's 30 to 300 gigahertz is what 5G will use. And that's that's quite a bit higher than the fourth generation. But there is a problem with distance. People are right when they say it's not going to have the same distance and penetration that most of the 4G wavelength does. However, keep in mind that 4G is not a specific set of frequencies. 4G, like T-Mobile, if you have T-Mobile, you actually have less range than you do with AT&T, because AT&T actually uses a different frequency than T-Mobile, and T-Mobile's frequency does not penetrate buildings well. So if you're in built-up areas with trees and stuff like that, they have to have a lot more transmission power and a lot more transmitters to get to you, but they have a lot more bandwidth, which means once you do get a good signal, you get a lot more bandwidth than you do. But same thing with 5G. It's from 30 to 300 gigahertz. Like, there's going to be all different providers and different spectrums of that. So there's nothing damaging about it. Like, I think, hold on here, let me open a chart. So just to give you an idea, okay, so the wavelength, let's see here, where's gigahertz? I mean, it's still so far beneath visible light. So it'd be in the so it's still technically in the radio spectrum. Then you go into microwave, then you go into infrared, visible, ultraviolet, X-ray, and gamma rays. And when you go out and you're looking up at the sun, or not even just standing out in the sun, I mean, you're getting both ultraviolet and you're getting gamma. So you're at that's the highest spectrum there is, the known spectrum. And so those are going to be the most excited, highest powered particles. You're not going to get that from 5G. You're just not. Now, should you stand next to like a microwave transmitter? No, because a microwave transmitter is going to like shake up all your water molecules really bad, and you're going to get really hot and really uncomfortable and start cooking. But that's why they're not using microwave for this. Like, microwave would be a terrible idea for this. But low-powered microwave is fine. Like, as a matter of fact, a lot of buildings in built-up areas like Chicago and stuff, they communicate with each other using directed microwave. Oh, sure. It's like really common. Have you ever seen those antennas on buildings that look like drums? They look like a big drum. Yep. Yeah, those are microwave broadcasting antennas. The
fucking like news van.
Exactly.
When they dial up that big dish up on a stick that stick out of the van, that's a microwave transmitter usually. Yep. I believe.
Well, when I went to CES, they had microwave transmitters a NAB. I went to NAB show in Vegas, and they actually were advertising their microwave transmitters for the top of news vans, and they had a demo there where they had one that was 70 miles away, out in the desert, and they had an uplink to it, and they were getting live video from it out in the desert during the NAB show from the parking lot of NAB. Like in Las Vegas, they had this big pole that goes up like 20-30 feet in the air, and it's got a directed antenna, and it was connected to another thing 70 miles away, which I don't even know how it's possible, because I think over 70 miles you drop further than that. So I don't know, maybe the microwave, like, I don't know, does it bend or does it attenuate off the atmosphere or something? But yeah, it was crazy the distance that they can project these things. Although those ones you probably don't want to stand in front of. I wouldn't recommend like putting your junk up against that thing when it's like at full power.
Ouch.
Hey, Shika Dance, how's it going, my friend? Thank you. Shika Dance. Shika Dance is always stopping by my stream and making it rain. And then he takes off. He just comes in, just makes it rain, and then just takes off. He's like one of those dudes that goes in the strip club and just pounds a drink and just throws like a hundy up on the show and just takes off. I actually had microwave internet. My first internet that I had, my first broadband internet connection that I ever had was when I moved to Redmond to take my job at Microsoft in 2000. February 14, 2000, I moved into this little apartment complex, and they only had one internet option. Like, at the time, your options were pretty much DSL. I think DSL was like the only thing that was available back then. But because it was this fancy little, apartment complex that was right next to Microsoft, and it was ridiculous money. I think I was paying, like, even back then in 2000, I think I was paying $1,600 a month for like a 500 square foot, one bedroom apartment. But the cool thing about it is they had internet. It was 1.5 megabit, which was like ungodly fast back then. Like 1.5 megabit today is ridiculous. But back in 2000, that was considered like ultra broadband. And it was a microwave transmitter that the entire apartment complex shared. So I could literally drop out to my command line, type net view, and I could see every computer of everybody. Like I used to be able to like select people's printers. Like I could go under I could double click network, network, and it'd pop up and all the printers would be in there. And I could click on people's printers and just print stuff out of their printers and freak them out. But, it was 1.5 megabit, and the thing I remembered that was its biggest weakness was when a truck would drive by. So the microwave transmitter, there was a street that ran up a hill where the microwave transmitter was pointing into downtown Seattle. And if a big rig came down through that road that had a really tall load on it, it would block the microwave signal for a second. So you always knew when a truck was driving by because your internet would just drop out, and then it would take like 30 seconds to like reacquire the signal. So you'd just be sitting there like playing a game and everything would just freeze up. And then you'd hear the truck like Jake breaking down the hill. And you'd be like, oh, okay, that's where my internet went. Damn it. They never did fix it either. I was always pissed about that. All right, what's topic number 2? No parallel universe.
Yeah, so this kind of touches on another topic in a bigger sense too. But okay, so floating around Twitter and some of the social media stuff has been NASA has found a parallel universe where time flows backwards. No, that's crazy. What? No. Okay, so no.
Because there's got to be an anti-everything, right? There's always got to be an anti-everything in today's science.
So it's more of a maybe.
Okay.
So part of the problem is that there is some report from the data that these scientists have pulled out, literally titled "We may have spotted a parallel universe going backwards in time." So okay. They found some funny business. So there's a project or some such going on in Antarctica where they've
Is it called Stargate?
It's Anita.
It's not Stargate Command? They didn't find the chair under the North Pole?
Maybe not yet.
The chair weapon.
Man, if anything, I think it'd be something more along the lines of The Thing, but I digress. So they float big radio antenna up on a weather balloon over Antarctica to look at high energy space particles. Right?
Yep.
They're trying to find neutrinos and stuff like that. NSFW, man.
Nobody can see it on the stream because I actually have the page up. That was just for you, baby.
Oh, clever. No TOS violation there. Okay, so big balloon high up in the sky, trying to listen for high energy particles and stuff. Well, the thing is, usually these particles come from outer space. Right? The crazy thing is, they've noticed this since about 2016. So this isn't anything really new. They apparently have been catching these high energy particles actually coming out of the ice. Which is super weird. Like generally it's like only neutrinos are the only like high energy particles that just pass through matter.
Right, they're like unaffected. I know they have one monitoring plant that I was watching a documentary on that's like a mile underground, and it's just so that it filters out literally all cosmic radiation except for neutrinos.
Yeah, I think one of them's in Japan. They buried it's basically like a big pool of water, and they're trying to catch neutrinos that way. So it's just they found some weird stuff coming up out of the ice. It shouldn't be coming up out of the ice, and as of now, they don't know what this could be. It's a matter of our current understanding of physics just doesn't match what we're seeing right now. One explanation, one very, I mean, it's like big maybe possibility. Like it's way down the list of what could be explaining this. Is it could be a parallel universe. The thing is that what we could be seeing is these particles are actually, they're not radiating out, they're going backwards in time. Like they had originally come in and hit the ice, but what we see is that they're going backwards is a possible explanation. There are many other possible explanations, and so people have been throwing it around without the caveat of the maybe
hypothesis. Yeah, this is like a very, very loose, like two guys got stoned and we're like, oh, what could this be?
Well, it's just coming down to like we see this thing happening, we can't really explain it right now.
And these are just high energy particles that are emanating from the Earth itself, or
yeah, apparently it seems that's what they've noticed, is that it seems to be coming out of the ice, rather than what they normally see is it coming into it, hit from space, hitting the ice. What they're seeing is it's coming out of the ice into space.
It's aliens,
super weird.
It's aliens.
Yeah, right. It's super.
There's a rare alien transmitter like that tells us the story of our creator, Xenu, Lord Xenu, and it's under the ice, and we have to excavate it. And
I always liked the idea of like do you ever read any like Lovecraft stuff?
Dude, do I look like a guy that reads? Come on.
Yeah.
Actually, I probably do look like a guy that reads, but I don't. I'm not a big reader unless it's on a computer screen. I don't read it.
One of the stories from Lovecraft is I think they actually go to Antarctica or something. It's I can't remember which story it is, but they find a ancient civilization and stuff, and at the Mountains of Madness. That's the one. That is it. Yeah, that's the one.
I've heard of the theory of the civilization under the ice. There's like still woolly mammoths and like primitive life and stuff like developed under the ice shelf or something like that.
And I definitely think we don't give enough credit to our ancient ancestors for their cleverness.
Yeah.
I think
how long did it take them to figure out how the pyramids were built? I mean, that was like
right, like, it's
I mean, they know now. Okay. They know how it was done, like painstakingly over a very long period of time with a lot of block and tackle, but still.
God, yeah, when you literally have practically limitless manpower,
and time,
throw it people at it, it's going to take a while, but dude, they figured out how they moved the blocks to Stonehenge. Like they know where those blocks came from. They know basically how they did it.
Didn't they say one of the pyramids took it was over 100 years to build it? And it was like they literally like as soon as the pharaoh was like born, they were like already building the pyramid to like bury his ass in. Like
is that really so unreasonable to think that? Like, come on. There's clear evidence of other structures and massively time-consuming projects,
or like the marble statues that are like that they found that are like accurate down to like microns. They're like there's no way they had measuring capabilities to be able to get things so perfectly, like that magic ratio of the human face and everything. Like how did they do that?
It's just a real person covered in marble plastic.
It probably is. They just fell in the marble vat and they're like, oh shit, get him out of there. Maybe nobody will notice.
But it's like I think we have this misinterpretation, this view that just because it's old that they were stupid. I mean, there are Roman aqueducts that are still perfectly fine, and they're 2,000 years old. There are roads that the Romans built that we still use that, they had indoor plumbing and stuff. Like they knew what they were doing. This is not. And I'm sorry, but the Dark Ages set us back 400 years.
Yeah.
Okay. Like, think of where we could be if not for the rampant, massive destruction of knowledge and the spreading of.
Dude, have you seen the? I think it's the Roman Colosseum. Like
Yeah, the Colosseum.
the plumbing that they had in that place, like, because it's all kind of eroded away over time. Like the plumbing in that place is like immaculately crazy. Like the angles that they got stuff to get it to flow while not falling large distances, like figuring out all those perfect ratios and everything. My God, they were engineers.
They could flood the interior, like the sandy inside, the center. They could flood that to like 4 or 5 feet, and they would have mock naval battles and stuff. Like they would have like plays and things that were.
I remember that. That was cool.
And like it's not
like name a stadium that we have today that can do that. Like we don't. We can't just flood the. We can flood the Kingdom.
But like, it's just nuts. Like, we don't give enough credit to our ancient ancestors that we should. It's man. You
know what the trend I see though? The trend is anytime a civilization achieves some great level of knowledge that's so far ahead of everybody else that's on the planet, everybody else on the planet just like totally goes and shivs them. Like it's literally like, you know, I don't know if it's like jealousy, I don't know if it's fear. But isn't that funny? It always seems to happen. I mean, sometimes it's well deserved, right? Like when the Germans like rose up against the world because they had all the best scientists, and like we should not have won World War II. Like World War II, if the Enigma machine thing didn't happen, which was like a total freaking fluke, right? Yeah. You know, and Turing didn't figure it out, dude. We'd be screwed. Yeah. We were losing our ass before that. Like, and it's because their technology was so far greater than everybody on the planet. Like everything, their weapons, their rifles, their pistols, accuracy, ammo consumption, their aircraft flew faster, their bombs went further. I mean, it is a total just freaking miracle that we won that. Yeah. And I think that you have the same thing with the Romans, right? The Romans were like the most advanced civilization on the planet. And who wiped them out? Wasn't it like the Egyptians or something like that? Who was it that wiped out the Romans?
I don't think there's any consensus really on what ended the Bronze Age is where a big hiccup happened. Actually, it's funny. I was just barely touching on this randomly a few days ago. There's like writings about the Sea People or something like that.
The British.
Is it the British?
Sea Mopar's like the British. They wiped them out.
But yeah, I don't think there's any big. I don't think there's anything that you point to and said this is what ended the Bronze Age. They just something happened and they kind of got there could be civil war. Civil war is a big one. That's probably the biggest one that people point to for the end of the Roman Empire. Just a lot of corruption and whatnot.
Yeah, history definitely isn't my strong suit. I just know little tidbits that I've learned from watching interesting. I do enjoy watching like documentaries and stuff, like, but I usually don't retain like a super ton of it. But there's interesting tidbits that get me every once in a while. I know the Roman Empire was the like prominent force on the planet though at one time. Like I've watched enough documentaries to know that like their technology, their metallurgy, their weaponry, their shielding, their training, everything was like above anything else. It was just pure manpower, I think, that defeated them. Like somebody said earlier, I think somebody said if you throw enough bodies at something, you know, you'll get through. And I think at a certain point that's actually true. Like, you know, it doesn't matter if you have the biggest nukes on planet Earth. If you can throw 1 billion more people at somebody and they're desperate, like, good luck. Like, I mean, you're probably not going to win.
Never get involved with a land war in Asia.
Well, yeah, we kind of learned that one the hard way, didn't we? Right. Didn't Korea kind of teach us like really quick in Vietnam? Vietnam was like the unwinnable war, right? Fighting a people that are way more primitive, no technology, that travel through holes in the ground, but because they had the home advantage, like there was we didn't stand a chance. Like that was the biggest, like most wasteful, like freaking war ever that culminated in nothing. Like that was just the biggest waste of life ever, and we couldn't get it. We couldn't get them. I think I watched a documentary on that too, where they said that they had such a home field advantage, like with the way they traveled through the woods, the way that they, you know, wore like shoes that didn't make any noise, and they would dig holes in the ground and travel through these underground tunnels and stuff. Like we didn't know how to wage war that way. That wasn't we didn't know how to do that. So it's like literally a bunch of guys with like primitive single shot weapons and bladed weapons and stuff just like kept mobbing us and mobbing us and mobbing us. Didn't matter how much napalm, didn't matter how much helicopters, how many bombs we had. It's like we just couldn't do nothing. Like it was, and plus the land was like impossible to traverse. Like all of our guys were getting like trench foot and dying.
It's just
Like it
bad.
was the most unhygienic war like ever waged. It's just crazy to see that. It doesn't matter how much technology you have. If there's more people on the other side and it's on their turf and they know what they're doing, you're screwed.
Yeah.
Like, could you ever imagine what a war would look like here in the United States? Like if somebody came here to start a war with like every third citizen being armed to the teeth, and like, dude, it would not be pretty.
I remember this is very fuzzy, so I'm sure I'm gonna be saying this incorrectly, inaccurate. But I remember like there was some, I want to say it was like during the early Cold War or something like that. That's exactly why there's no way to win. Like you could not invade the United States. There's no winning a war of invasion with the United States.
Yeah.
The citizenry you could not possibly like smush the citizens. So you couldn't do it.
Well, plus so, like, we don't share like a common border like with anybody that could wage war against us. So like Russia, they'd have to bring their troops over, and like they wouldn't be able to bring them in sufficient volume.
Yeah, that too. It's just too big. But also, yeah, there's no way to do it because you couldn't fight the people.
Yeah, somebody actually made a good point earlier when I was saying that, like, it's hard to have a home field advantage, and he mentioned Hiroshima, but I considered that cheating because we never actually took the war there. We never did landfall. We literally just flew over in a high altitude aircraft and like dropped bombs. Like that was not that was a slaughter. That was not a war.
We could have, if you want to go that route, yeah, sure. You could always just black glass the place, but then what's the point? You didn't win. You just took your ball and go home,
Yeah, and let's be fair too. That is still a highly frowned upon event, even from the United States. I want to make that perfectly clear that it's like that was done out of necessity because they were literally like bombing Pearl Harbor and like committing suicide to blow our stuff up. So it's like that was a world ender like event. Like we didn't care if it like lit the atmosphere on fire at that point. It was like we were gonna lose. So that was out of like I don't even know what the word is for it, but that was basically we had to end the war. But I don't think anybody feels good about what happened. That was the wrong move to just vaporize that many people. Like that's why now we have rules, right? I mean, there's like collateral damage. We have to take that into account. We even have to send troops in, even though we could just fly over and just recklessly bomb everything in a war. We still take troops over to do more surgical things so that we reduce casualties.
That sort of wanton destruction of life is just crazy, man.
Yeah, nukes are the only thing that nukes should exist for. The only thing is to never be used. Literally, all they are is a posturing piece to say, listen, if we know we're gonna lose, then we're gonna push this button and we're all going out together. And that's the deterrent, right? That's the nuclear deterrent. When you actually use a nuclear bomb in anger, we have all learned, because that's only happened twice in history, and it was both us, right? It was Fat Boy and Little. Fat Boy and Little? Shit, what was the little one called?
I don't remember.
Hiroshima and Nagasaki. They were the big bomb and the little bomb. Little boy. Okay. So the two bombs that we dropped, that's the only two bombs that have, or the only two nukes that have ever been used in anger. And never before has anybody else ever used a nuke in anger since then. Yeah. Because the fallout for it was just way too severe. Like there's everybody pays for that. And we're going to pay for that forever, man. That was like, it ended the war, but like at what cost, right? That was a really, Little Boy and Fat Man. That's right.
There we go.
I mean, that's terrible. That's terrible that we did that. But again, it's like, it's one of those things where it's like, we learned from our history, and we obviously have, because look how many people have nuclear capabilities and nobody uses it. Right? Yeah. Like Russia has enough nukes to vaporize the entire planet and cause a nuclear winter, right? So do we.
I think that's the biggest like positive for humanity in a general sense, is that like there are a number of people out there who have access to and almost and an honest to goodness willingness to use the most like astronomically destructive device we've ever come up with, but don't, either out of selfish self-preservation or whatever. But like nobody's been so fucked up, so crazy that, you know what, I'm gonna take everybody with me. And like I mean, honestly I think that's a nice thing to think, is that like, we won't just out of, hey man, even if it does come from selfishness, that we won't just all destroy each other that way.
Yeah.
I
think the mutually assured destruction, though, does work, like in practice, because Russia knows we have enough bombs to destroy the Earth. We know Russia has enough bombs to destroy the Earth. We know that other countries have nuclear capabilities, and if they launch, they know our nuclear capabilities will vaporize them off the... So no matter what, everybody loses. It's like, if any one person pushes the button, everybody loses. And I think that that's the whole reason where it's like the only reason to own a nuclear weapon... It's like buying like a Bugatti Veyron or something and putting it in your car collection, right? It's like, just listen, I have the most powerful car on the street, but, I'm not going to drive it. I'm just going to let it sit there in my garage and look pretty because it's too damn expensive if I wreck it. It's like the same thing. You just cannot risk that. Somebody did mention, though, that Korea took more casualties from Japan than they took from us actually nuking them. But I want to make one thing clear there. If it's hand-to-hand combat, and it's actually like at least they have a fighting chance, and they're taking lives as well as taking casualties. In nuclear war, one side takes no casualties. It is there is no fight. That's the whole thing. Is like with nuclear war, it is literally pushing a button and you're just vaporizing millions of innocent people, collateral damage. Yeah. Not to say that didn't happen during other wars and in hand to hand, but I'm just saying that it's way too one sided. It's like when you have the power to push a button and just vaporize an entire country. No, that's at that point it has to be mutually assured destruction. Otherwise, you're going to end up with just one country just mowing the entire earth and calling it its own. And you can't have that. In my opinion, this has been a very interesting conversation.
Yeah.
But in my opinion, I think it's a good conversation to have though. Because if you don't learn from your history, you're destined to repeat it, right? And that happens over and over again.
We're almost kind of in the middle of that in a way. Like it's just conventional bombs against a foe with no air defense. Yeah, I mean, like look what we do with our drones.
Yeah,
there's a guy in a trailer in Utah playing a video game essentially. It's like
no risk to a single human life. Even if they shoot that thing out of the sky, it's like you're out millions of dollars, but not a single human life.
I can't imagine like what that does. I'm curious, like the mind of a person who knows. Like I'm 6,000 miles away. I'm flying this thing so high that they probably don't even know it's there.
Yep.
And suddenly, puff! This village or this house is just gone.
Well, it's the same. It's the same mentality as the guys that flew the not the B-52, the one before that was the B-18.
I feel like those dudes at least had a more visceral understanding of what they were about to do.
You'd be surprised because I watched the documentary on the bombers, the bombardiers, the guys that released the bombs from the belly of the plane while it was flying over. They wouldn't tell them what was down there. They didn't tell them what their target was. All they did was give them coordinates. That's all they did is they just gave them coordinates. They punched them in. They flew over. When they were over the coordinates, the bomb guys would pull the door and they just fly home. They never, because they were at such a high altitude above the cloud line, they almost never saw the bombs detonate. They were flying so high that back then it's like the civilization and the buildup, like they generally didn't see it. And so they could ignore it. It was one of those things where it was like out of sight, out of mind. And so a lot of those bomber pilots, like they got PTSD later on when they realized like the damage they did. Because they were just following orders. They're like, okay, fly to these coordinates, this longitude and latitude, and then when you get there, open the bomb bay, dump the payload, and fly home. Like, that's it. And now it's probably a little... I'd imagine it's a little different now because with, like, GPS and everything like that and people having a better education, I'm pretty sure even the dude in the trailer knows that when he's flying the drone and blowing stuff up, he knows what he's doing, right? But I think the bomber guys, they intentionally stayed ignorant of it. Like, it's one of those things where it's like just as a coping mechanism, they're like, okay, it's my job. It's no different than flying over like the bomb range. I'm just flying to these coordinates. I'm dropping off my package and I'm coming home.
Wow.
Like, could you imagine the guys that dropped the nuke? Like, I'm sure they didn't really understand what they were doing. Do you really think they were like, okay, listen, guys, you're going to fly over and drop a bomb that's literally going to vaporize like 10,000 people instantly. And the mushroom cloud's going to be so big that it's probably going to hit your plane and you'll be lucky to even make it home. And the dudes in the Enola Gay are like, yeah, dude, I'm totally on board. No, I'm sure that they just told him, listen, there's a big bomb in the belly of your plane. Fly here and drop it.
Yeah, because otherwise they might chicken out or just
or maybe they steal it, right? Maybe they steal the damn thing and go fly it somewhere and be like, oh, we got the only functional, atomic bomb on the planet. I'm pretty sure they were like, dude, there's a big bomb in your plane. Just fly over here and drop it. And they were probably like, oh shit. I mean, I don't know this for sure. I haven't looked at the history on this, but they don't want the bombardiers to know what they're doing because there's a chance that they're not going to do it. Yeah. That's the thing. You have to have, what do they say? You have to make your enemy not seem human. Like you have to dehumanize your enemy. And we still do that, unfortunately. Like when we train our armies and stuff, we try to be more empathetic to it. But at the same time, it's like you can't have somebody going out and shooting at somebody if they see him as another like innocent human being. You can't do that. Like you're going to shut yourself down. But if you're trained to visualize them as the enemy and not see them as human, then it changes things a little bit. It's really, really scary. No, it wasn't the B2. I think what was the Enola Gay? I thought it was like a B18.
I don't know.
Let me see. Let's see here. It was a B-29 Super Fortress bomber. That was the one that dropped the big bombs. And that was a big bomber back then. I think it even flew at heights that like there was no anti-aircraft that could hit it. Like it was basically like the SR-71 of the time.
Huh.
That's crazy, dude. That's like I can't even imagine that the dudes on board actually knew like what was happening. I don't know. Can somebody say that in chat? Like did the bombers know what they were doing? Like, did the guys flying the Enola Gay, like, did they clue them in on everything that was happening, or did they just basically say, like, go drop this bomb? Because God, I can't imagine flying that mission. Like, dude, we really don't know what's going to happen. This is the only one of its kind. You may not even get out of the blast radius. You read that they didn't know. They named the bombs before, so they had to know. Well, fat boy, hey, calling something fat man and little boy doesn't imply that destructive power. I'm sure they named bombs all kinds of creative things back then. Oh, the pilots did know, just following orders? Huh, I kind of want to see if that's so they know what they were dropping. Here, let's see how good the search engine is. All right, the crew of the Enola Gay dropping the atomic bomb. This is something I genuinely want to know. So on August 6, 1945, the B-29 bomber Enola Gay dropped an atomic bomb in the city of Hiroshima. 12 men were on that flight. Some chose to keep a low profile and others spoke out about their place in history. Almost all had something to say after the war. The 509th Composite Group was formed by the U.S. Army Air Force to deliver and deploy the first atomic bomb during World War II. The group was segregated from the rest of the military and trained in secret. Okay, that implies they probably knew something. Even those in the group who knew as much as they needed to know in order to perform their duties, the group deployed to Tinian in 1945 with the 15 B-29 bombers, flight crews, ground crews, and other personnel, a total of about 1,770 men. The mission was to drop the atomic bomb on Hiroshima, Japan, Special Mission 13, involving 7 planes, but the one we remember was the Enola Gay. Interesting. I didn't know that it was a strike force. There was more than one plane. So, and then Captain Theodore Van Kirk, but it did sound like they just told him what they needed to know. So that's interesting, right? So the bomb crew probably was just told, hey, when you get to this area and you're ordered, pull the hand crank, right? Because the more people that you tell, the more of liability you have that something's going to go wrong and they're not going to follow through. Air Force Captain Theodore Dutch Van Kirk did not know the destructive force of the nuclear bomb before Hiroshima. He was 24 years old at the time, a veteran of 58 missions in North Africa. Paul Tibbets told him this mission would be shorten or would shorten or end the war. But Van Kirk had heard that line before. Hiroshima made him be a believer. Van Kirk felt the bombing of Hiroshima was worth the price. Oh, sad, that's sad. And that it ended the war before the invasion of Japan, which promised devastating to both sides. Honestly believe the use of the atomic bomb saved lives in the long run. There was a lot of lives saved. Most of the lives saved were Japanese. Okay, that's an interesting way to look at it, I suppose. But he didn't know. So they did not know the destructive force of the bomb. Wow. So that's crazy. Because think about it, dude. They didn't know if that thing... There was a good chance that bomb detonating would have taken the plane out. Like, because that plane's not flying very fast. This is an old prop plane, right? So if that bomb goes off and it's not out of range of the shockwave, it's just going to get knocked out of the sky. So they don't want the crew to know that's a possibility. So they're probably like, yeah, it's a big bomb, but it ain't nothing bigger than you've ever dropped before. It'll be fine. Huh. Right? I mean, I don't know. I can't really speak because in those times, I'm sure people were willing to take a lot more risks. But if somebody was like, listen, well, you're going to fly over this area, you're going to drop a bomb that's going to vaporize like an entire city, and chances are you're not going to make it home. You're probably going to be a little bit more apprehensive about pulling the lever than if they're just like, hey, dude, just fly over there and pull the lever and then come home. It's going to help the war. Like, you're probably going to just do it. That's crazy, man. That's crazy.
Yeah, man, it's crazy. I don't know. It's just.
I'm just glad that they've never been used again, though. Like in anger.
Man, it's yeah.
Although rumor has it that they're actually talking about doing another nuclear test in the United States, just to check things out and kick the tires and make sure it's all still working. So, I mean, there's nothing official about it yet. It's just a conversation. Oh. But if they were going to do that, I'm sure that that's probably going to be carried out over in the Nevada desert.
Yeah, right. Like that seems not a good idea. Like why?
Yeah. If Japan had not surrendered, America would have been invaded. Well, yeah, we knew that. I'm not saying that. Yeah. I understand that it ended the war and that was a good thing, and it was literally like us or them kind of thing at that point. But at the same time, it's like we learned from that one thing doing that, and I think that one thing is what made every other country go, listen, we're not going to invade other countries that are nuclear capable.
It's just they
crazy. Don't like. Can you name a single country that's nuclear capable that's been invaded since World War II? It's usually the nuclear people that are invading the other people. It's not the other way around. Because if Syria had nuclear capabilities, I'm pretty sure they'd be like, Russia, screw you. Kim Jong-un, he has limited nuclear capabilities, but he knows that he'd just get like instantly vaporized if he did anything. He's just posturing. But they're just used for posturing, guys. But sir, on that note, I think you got to get going. You got yes,
sir. Yeah,
you got shit to do, bro.
That's it. That is true. We got my lady's got it all lined out for me. I gotta help pack up for the overnight.
Okay, so. You gonna go have some fun? Okay, don't give any squirrels COVID. Okay.
Nah, it'll be all right.
No spreading the COVID. All right, guys, we're going to go ahead and wrap it up here today. This has been a fantastic stream. Thank you guys for everything. All the super chats, very appreciated. We split those between us after every show. If you guys want to come over and follow us, all of our links to our other shows over on Twitch that we do more frequently than this one, and on Twitter, if you want to come talk to us, all those links are in the video description. And the video will be live, I think, about an hour or so after this. For some reason, after we stop the stream, it has to do processing, and then once it does processing, then it sets it back to public, so you guys can watch it if you missed it. I'm still trying to figure out a better way to handle that. For some reason, I don't know why YouTube doesn't just automatically transition it over into video. I think it's because we go beyond 2 hours. But again, if you guys have any questions that we didn't answer today, by all means, come over and tweet us. I'm most active on Twitter. Where are you most active at?
Twitter and Instagram.
Twitter and Instagram? All right, so you guys know where to find us. So we'll see you again, same bat time, same bat place. So next Saturday at 10 a.m. We're going to do this all again. If you guys have topic suggestions, by the way, also please feel free to tweet those to us. If it's a topic that we're both interested in, we'll absolutely add it to the roster at some point and have a go at it. Holy cow, Brian Perkins, thank you for that last $10, sending out the show with a bang. Love you long time. He said, Jerry, it's good to see you. It's good to see you too, Brian. And I'll be streaming again on Twitch, I think on either Monday or Tuesday, probably Monday. I'm going to skip tomorrow, though, because I've been fighting this like breathing thing, and it's getting a little bit better. So now I'm like, okay, I'm not going to push it. I'm going to give myself a day of rest. But then I'll be back and at it. Hey, Brian PC, thank you for the 5-poundaroos. He says, see ya. All right, guys, I'm going to go ahead and end the stream right here. And until next time. Now I gotta hit the 15 buttons to do this. Oh, I forgot. I could just do it right through the other thing. Let's see. Oh, did another one come in? Damn it. Did I miss it? Shit.